Saranov. Kaminsky to Onyekov. In front is Bikov. Curry and Gretzky. Langway and Green killing the penalty in front of Fuhr. Just over 10 minutes to go in the third period. A nice steal by Langway. And he clears the puck the length of the ice, and the NHL All-Stars will change players. The Soviets make some personnel changes of their own. 21 seconds to go in the Soviet power play. Igor Larionov stopped at the NHL blue line. This is Sergei Makarov. Slowed up by Poulin. And Larionov gets the puck. This is Fetisov. He is literally drilled to the ice by Samuelson. You saw Fetisov moments ago tending to his knee in the runway. And Vyacheslav Fetisov there getting many bones rattled.
One of the big losses, Ken, if they do lose Fetisov, he looks as if he's all right, is leadership. He is not only their best all-around defenseman, but he is also their definite leader. As we look at Grant Fuhr, we're going to try and pick up where he makes this save. It's up high to his blocker side, off the blocker, perhaps off the handle of the stick. Sharp.
For the Soviets, their power play is over. They have had 4 power plays. They've come up empty, and they've had only 2 shots on goal on their power play. But look out. Krutov! Nice shot partially blocked by Samuelson. Krutov gets the puck again. He's centered just out of the reach of the charging defenseman Alexei Konstantinov. Here's Vyacheslav Fetisov. Nice pass to Igor Larionov. His feet out of the reach of Makarov, and the puck cleared to center ice. It's 3-3. Down to 9:10 to go in regulation play. Claude Lemieux for the NHL. Broken up by Larionov. At center ice, Makarov with Krutov into the NHL defensive zone. Fort yanks down the Soviet player Makarov. Goulet leaving the puck for Wilson. He's bothered by Krutov. Unable to keep the puck in at the point, Perbukin. Larionov turns it back. And Makarov in possession. The Soviets changing on the go. Konstantinov, the veteran. He has 27 points in 34 games against the NHL after a goal here tonight. Sematov, who was injured hitting the goalpost after scoring, back on. He's number 30. Doug Wilson whipping the puck around. Esa Tikkanen on with Mario Lemieux and Claude Lemieux. Soviets shoot the puck back in. Perbukin. Fuhr leaves it. Doug Wilson has it. Up the middle. Out of the reach of Tikkanen. No icing. Vasily Perbukin getting the puck quickly to center ice. Semenov gives it off to Svetlov. Langway takes Svetlov out of the play. Now it's Barnikov centering. And Tikkanen intercepts for the NHL. And Tikkanen winding up in his own zone. Head manning to Gretzky. Little flip pass to Yari Curry and a nifty poke check by Tatarinov. The Soviets grab the puck in their own zone. Svetlov just out of the reach of his teammate with a pass. And the NHL's Green gets the puck to center ice, intercepting Priakin. He's number 22, taken out by Curry, and here's Rick Green again. Down to 7:20 to go in the third period. It's 3-3, and there's non-stop action. The NHL All-Stars and the Soviet national team. Tikkanen stopped. This is Gusarov quickly up on the wing. And the NHL taking over in their own zone, Samuelson. Now Ramsey. Samuelson again being pressured. And then the NHL getting stopped before they get to center ice. Yari Curry with Gretzky. Curry and the save by Beloshakin. Gusarov. His pass is errant. The puck the length of the ice. It'll be icing. Doug Wilson touches the puck, and there's a stop in play. 6:41 to go in the third. It's 3-3.
To rise, to meet the challenge.
Steady on course, 320.
To master the most advanced skills.
You're at the rendezvous point.
To meet the future with new confidence.
Also the deck, surface the ship.
Full rise, aye.
To break through. Show the world your U.S. Navy. Live the adventure. Call 1-800-327-NAVY.
Clement, in the last few minutes here in this third period, you really feel the Soviet Union coming on.
Other than that one breakdown that Kevin Dineen scored on Ken, the Soviet Union has slowly but surely taken it away from the NHL team. They've closed it down, down, down. The game seems to be shifting as we sit up here from our right to our left, closer and closer to Grant Fuhr all the time. I really think they're dominating more and more in the neutral zone.
3-3 is the score. The NHL has outshot the Soviet Union to this point, 25-21. 6:41 to go in regulation play. Back for the puck. Doug Wilson. Fuhr is way out of the goal. So Wilson has to cautiously handle the puck, and he clears it out of his own end. Back for it, Sergei Staranov, 28-year-old Soviet defenseman, hands it to Anderson in front. Messier fake. Ooh, what a play by Beloshakin. An aggressive play by the young Soviet goaltender. Homatov getting the puck to Bikov, and Fuhr makes the save as Anderson had his man taken out. The NHL comes back. Ray Bork trying to make something of a broken play, a little bit in the Soviet style, drills the puck in. Stelnov back for the USSR, too far with his pass to Honyutov. Langway on defense with Green. Poulin breaks for the goal as Messier shoots the puck in. The NHL changing players. Poulin, almost gets it in front to Anderson as he moved away from Fedosov. Here's Fedosov, the KG veteran, to Makarov. He's spun around. Look at Krutov slide in, but he can't control the puck. Rod Langway will go back for it. There's 5.5 minutes remaining in the third period. Outstanding opening game to Rendez-vous 87. Krutov stealing the puck away. On with Larionov and Makarov. Krutov. Kasatonov in front for Makarov. And he really doesn't get good wood on the puck. In front of a sliding Grant Fuhr. Poulin trying to clear, unable to. Makarov for Krutov, and Green takes that pass. A feed to Howardchuk. He's slowed off by Fedosov. It's Krutov for the USSR. Trying to move in around Ramsey. He's unable to. Dineen, a nice pass to Muller. Dineen, Howardchuk, and Muller. Muller leaving the puck deep in the Soviet zone, and Krutov back for it. He has seen a lot of ice time here in the third period. Vladimir Krutov. 4:38 to go in the third period. It is 3-3. Barnikov sends the puck up the middle as he takes a tough check. Svetlov looking for Semenov. Can't get the puck to him. Now here's Pervukin. And Fuhr makes a save, and a sterling save on Vasily Pervukin. Back for the puck, the Soviets. That's an icing against the NHL All-Stars. 4:15 to go in game one. In the third period, it's 3-3.
Plymouth Voyager gives America a powerful new reason why the pride is back. Front-wheel drive V6 power, fuel-injected power, power to climb, to pass, to carry, to move you. And quality backed by a new 7-year or 70,000-mile protection plan. Plymouth Voyager V6.
The pride is back, born in America again.
And as the play comes more and more to the NHL end of the ice, Grant Fuhr is being called upon to make more and more saves. He was screened on that one by number 3 of the NHL team, Mike Ramsey, but picked it up in the last minute. Here's a save he made earlier, right at the corner of the net, is Sergei Makarov, and he has scored a number from that distance, I can guarantee you, along with Krutov and Larionov. Very, very explosive line for the Soviet Union.
In this period, the NHL All-Stars have been outshot by the Soviets 11-4. It is 3-3. Doug Wilson gains possession, clears to center ice, Pervukin. And the Soviets start out from their own blue line. Bykov and Semenov have scored for the Soviets. Dineen for the NHL in the third period. So the NHL with the 3 goals, Curry, Anderson, and Dineen. The Soviets, Kasatonov, Bykov, and Semenov. And overtime certainly looming as a distinct possibility here at the Coliseum in Quebec City. Bork takes the puck. A crowd in front. Tikkanen and Claude Lemieux. Pervukin playing the puck around the boards. Kept in by Langway. And Tataranov makes no mistake. about getting the puck out. And it's an icing call against the Soviets with 3:14 to go in regulation play.
Tatarinov icing the puck there, Ken. It's interesting to note that the Soviets are not afraid to go into a prevent type of defense as well, but the score is tied 3-3. I would have expected something a little more creative from Tatarinov, but Claude Lemieux was barreling in on him, and as it turned out, Tatarinov did pay the price. All 220 pounds of Lemieux leveled him.
Bill, we're late in the third period of Game 1 of this two-game Rendezvous 87 series. My impression is that the two teams are very equal. They've both been able to prove that they can shut each other down. We've seen some tremendous individual performances, and both extremely well-skilled. In other words, it has been superb hockey.
It has, Ken.
Langway for the NHL All-Stars. On with Green, Curry, Tikkanen, and Gretzky. Soviets make it tough for the NHL All-Stars to get out of their own end. Gretzky's pass to Curry, broken up nicely, and the man who did it gets the puck. Now the NHL takes possession. Green, over to Ramsey. He'll shoot it in. The Sabres veteran defenseman dumping it in. Gusarov. Homyutov. Up the middle for Seaman. Now it's Gretzky, one-on-one. Around Gusarov. Gretzky shoots, hits the side of the net. I'll tell you, you want to see a young defenseman scramble. That's what Alexei Gusarov did, and scrambled in a hurry. The play is offside. NHL All-Stars. There's 2:14 to go in regulation play, and it is 3-3.
You know, Ken, that is one of the first times in this game that the Soviets have allowed Wayne Gretzky to become isolated one-on-one in an offensive situation with one of their players. This time it's Gusarov. Gretzky basically blows around him. Good defensive play by number 14 of the Soviet Union, coming back in to actually take away. Watch Gretzky. You'd think he might be able to cut to his right, but Wayne knows there's someone cutting from his right back in front of the net. Look how quickly the Soviets get back in there to close everything off, and he was really forced to shoot from a sharp angle.
I really like that point you made, Bill Clement, about Wayne Gretzky. In a typical NHL game that we would see here on ESPN, he'd have 6, 7, 8 opportunities by this time where he'd have the puck alone and be able to do things with it.
And he would have been allowed in the NHL, not intentionally, but his skills are so great that he controls the puck. We talked about this before the game. When you control the puck in the Soviet zone, you buy time, they break down. They have been wonderful at turning over the puck when the NHL has possession of it in their zone. They make that concerted effort, and we really haven't seen Wayne Gretzky hang on to it that long tonight in the Soviet zone.
One of the things we talked about early was the skill of the forwards. 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, and we've not seen that many of those 3-on-1s, 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s tonight. Ooh, just getting the puck out is Ray Bourque. Claude Lemieux barrels through, barrels away with Mario Lemieux. Kamensky does a nice job stopping Claude Lemieux. Here's Homyutov. Down to 1:42 to go in regulation play. The Soviets on the attack. Kamensky can't get around Doug Wilson. There's a fine play. Then Mario Lemieux stopped by Beekhoff. It's Kamensky for the Soviets. Leaving it at the defense. Fetisov in the middle to Makarov. It's 3-3 with 1:25 to go in the third period as Makarov falls down. Mario Lemieux with Dave Poulin. Mario Lemieux. He shoots. He scores, and Poulin may have deflected it. The NHL takes the lead with 1:15 to go in the third period.
Mario Lemieux tonight, for Mario Lemieux, has been reasonably invisible, but he's not invisible here. What a great angle to look at it from. Dave Poulin tipping it by Beloshakin. This is the control I was talking about, Ken. He's able to cut across the blue line, contain, maintain possession of the puck, then get wood onto the net. The Soviets have not allowed the NHL team to do that at all tonight. Finally, Mario Lemieux gets it in gear. Gets a pretty decent shot away, and Dave Poulin pops it right up over Beloshakin's right arm and into the net for a lead, and we might be able to avoid overtime.
Boy, what a pretty deflection by the Flyers captain. Oh, that's picture perfect.
Mentioned overtime. We will see overtime should this hockey game end tied. It is National Hockey League rules, and there will be a 5-minute overtime period. If the score remains tied at the end of 5 minutes, it remains tied.
18:45 of the third period. Poulin scores. NHL leads 4-3. Here's Krutov for the explosive Soviets. To Makarov off his skate. Dineen clears the puck out. Defense is the theme now for the NHL. The big guns, the KLM line on for the Soviets. Larionov, Makarov, Krutov. This is Makarov. To Larionov. He fakes Fetisov in front and unable to turn the puck in. Krutov. And there was the perfect example of the tremendous patient passing of the Soviet national team. Langway dumps the puck out. 35 seconds to go in the third period. Beloshakin still in the goal for the Soviets. They trail 4-3 as Fetisov shoots the puck in. Ray Bourque is back. Down to 26 seconds left. Third period of play in Game 1 of Rendez-vous 87. Back for the puck goes Alexei Kasatonov. And it's finally shoveled over to Fetisov by Beloshakin. 14 seconds to go. And this crowd in an uproar in Quebec City. There are 8 seconds left. The NHL wins Game 1 of Rendez-vous 87. Quite a night. The Soviets do not pull their goalie. What an opportunity, NHL style, that would have been. Beloshakin stands and watches. The NHL wins it 4-3 on a goal at 18:45. They give it to Mario Lemieux, but it certainly looked like a Dave Poulin goal. At any rate, the NHL All-Stars win Game 1. It just sets the stage for Friday night.
Doesn't it, Ken? And to me, the Soviet team was gaining more and more control. We talked about it as the game went on, and you know what it boiled down to? The individual greatness of someone like Mario Lemieux being able to cross the blue line and stave off the Soviet defenders long enough to get a decent shot away that Dave Poulin deflected into the net. Here's Lemieux crossing the blue line, trying to buy time. Fetisov, number 2, as good as he is defensively and offensively, was unable with that long reach that Lemieux has to make any headway in checking him. The goal was a result of Lemieux's individual greatness.
It was the first time we really saw Mario in the game.
Really it was, and he saved it for a good time, didn't he, as far as the NHL team is concerned?
And interestingly enough, just after, Wayne Gretzky had his big opportunity of the night.
Beloshakin hanging from the net. He realizes, it's interesting to note, too, that the Soviets never pulled Beloshakin. They had the puck right in behind Grant Fuhrer with 40 seconds to go, did not make a move to pull Yevgeny Beloshakin from their net.
It's not their want, usually. They've got the official scoring now down on the winning goal, Dave Poulin from Mario Lemieux and Doug Wilson at 18:45, and certainly a happy international crowd with some NHL partisans here in Quebec City tonight. That was, I thought, a wonderful hockey game. Enjoyment, closely played. Super start to Rendez-vous 87. Game 1, the final 4-3 NHL All-Stars over the Soviet national team. Don't go away. There's more to come from Quebec City on ESPN. National Sports Spectacular here at the Le Colisée in Quebec. The NHL All-Stars, with just one practice under their belts, started strong indeed. In the second period, this wraparound goal from Edmonton's Glenn Anderson gave the NHL Stars a surprising 2-0 lead over the Soviet Union. But the Soviets, well, they're one of the best teams in all the world, and they are resilient. Look at this move by Anatoly Semenov against Grant Fuhrer. This goal tied the game at 3 in the third period. This was shaping up to be a true classic, a classic that had fans of both teams literally wrapped up in the action at Le Colisée. While the fans and players were anticipating overtime, the Flyers' Dave Poulin took care of that thought by deflecting in this drive by Mario Lemieux with just 1:15 left to go on the clock. It was despair for the goaltender Evgeny Beloshakin of the Soviet Union, but pure joy for the NHL. But one win is just that, one win. And the NHL Stars know the Soviets will be a lot tougher tonight.
I think we have to go right after them. We can't sit back at all. They're such a well-practiced hockey team, and they set up plays so well. We can't sit back and wait for them to take charge. We have to take charge and go right after them right from the time the puck is dropped.
So while the NHL celebrated, the Soviet Stars pondered an unexpected defeat at Le Colisée. But the National Hockey League All-Stars celebrated a win, and they know full well that the Soviets will come loaded for bear tonight in Game 2 of Rendez-vous 87. Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to frosty Le Colisée in Quebec City. The temperature is well below zero outside, but the excitement will heat the place up tonight. Yes, it's the second and final game of Rendez-vous 87 as Team NHL goes for a sweep. As the fans get set to enjoy the action here in the parking lot on the way in, the excitement is building. You can cut it with a knife, but if you think it's exciting out here, you ought to be inside. Let's go inside, live now, and join John Saunders.
Thank you very much, Tom. As you said, the festival atmosphere is building here inside Le Colisée. It's going crazy right now as they're introducing the players here, the players from the National Hockey League All-Star team. This event is nothing like any other type of All-Star event. There has been a complete festival all week long. Rendez-vous 87 has been a tremendous event in unison with the Carnival here. Right now, let's go upstairs to Ken Wilson and Bill Clement for the start of tonight's games and the introduction of the players. Rendez-vous 87, Game 2 coming your way in just a moment.
Last night, actually Wednesday night, no question. A terrific game. Last night, everyone talked about it. Look forward to tonight. No changes really expected on either side. The big line for the NHL, the Gretzky line, the Edmonton line, they'll be intact.
Ken, so much was made of how the NHL team was selected. And the 8 general managers decided to go with certain units. One of the units, Asa Tikin on the left side, Jari Kurri on the right side, the great number 99, Wayne Gretzky at center ice, the wonderful Edmonton Oilers line. They had a heck of a game.
And Jari Kurri got the big goal early from Gretzky.
Ken, look how much room number 27, Bekoff, gives Wayne Gretzky to wheel and deal. Jari Kurri one-times it right between Beloshakin's legs. It's obvious the Soviets had heard of Wayne Gretzky before they arrived here this week.
Game 1 of Rendezvous 87, 4-3 final. The NHL wins it. It truly was a defensive battle. One of the big standouts for the NHL All-Stars, the Washington Capitals, Rod Langway.
You know, we make so much of number 66, Mario Lemieux, and number 99, Wayne Gretzky, but it was a fabulous defensive effort by guys like Rod Langway, along with Rick Green, that really saved the hockey game for the National Hockey League the other night. And Ken, you know what's interesting? He wasn't even supposed to be here, but look at this save. Krutov, part to the left of the net. Grant Fuhr over attacks Makarov. Langway's there. He has help from number 20, Dave Poulin. There's Rick Green sweeping in. Langway just had one brilliant defensive play after another all night long on Wednesday night.
And that play occurred with less than a minute to go in that game. Certainly one of the all-time international defensive standouts. Number 2 for the Soviet Union. He'll be back in there again tonight. Vyacheslav Fedosov.
Ken, 2 years ago, Fedosov was involved in an automobile accident that was a real tragedy. His younger brother, who was one of the up-and-coming stars in Soviet hockey, was killed in that accident outside of Moscow. Many people who have watched Fedosov since then feel that he has never recovered from that setback. And, you know, he didn't really have a strong game on Wednesday night. I think that he might even be at a real crossroads of his career, especially because he is the big leader on this Soviet team. They will definitely look to him to try and pull their bootstraps up and get them a win here in Game 2.
Another member of the veteran 5-man unit with Fedosov is Vladimir Krutov.
He is a top goal scorer, but you know, the scouting report is on him that he can be frustrated when the checking is close. After the game, he was arguing with Vyacheslav Fedosov. He was obviously a very frustrated man, but he is going to have to patch up his differences with the big captain, number 2, in order to take this National Hockey League team tonight. They'll have their hands full. I'm looking for a heck of a game.
And if you were with us for Game 1 Wednesday night, you'll recall that Bill pointed out 3 keys for the NHL All-Stars if they were to be successful against the Soviets. And tonight, really the same 3 keys.
I think so, Ken, with very little variation. First of all, neutralizing that great Soviet speed, and it can be done in a number of different ways that we'll touch on when the game begins. Also aggressive forechecking, but that is not only deep in the offensive zone, it is in the neutral zone. The National Hockey League team did a great job of stopping that Soviet team from getting rolling. The third thing, eliminating the Soviet quality shots. They risk the puck as well as anyone in the world, and when they get into that quality area in front of the net, very dangerous.
And needless to say, there are keys for the Soviets, and the first 2 are the same as they were for Game 1.
Well, Wayne Gretzky had a very good hockey game, and he worked very hard. Mario Lemieux didn't do very much. They could end up with a big surprise on their hands should big number 66 of the Pittsburgh Penguins decide to open the throttles tonight. Second thing, goaltending. The NHL team learned something about Yevgeny Beloshakin. He gives rebounds. He also doesn't handle the puck well, Ken. I suspect that possibly tonight, the NHL team might even direct some pucks toward Beloshakin. The third thing, execution on the power play. The Soviets had 4 chances in Game 1 and didn't execute or score on either one.
Well, the Soviet Union on the power play passes very well. This is a situation, both teams at full strength. Oh, can they move it?
Ken, I like to think if they can move it at even strength like this, and we'll watch some of this passing, you can imagine what they can do when they actually have the man advantage. Tic-tac-toe. Watch this final shot without even stopping the puck right here. Wham, right on Grant Fuhrer. They can really pass.
Quick observation I would think the NHL Stars could have a bit of a letdown going in. This one has to mean more to the Soviets.
I think that is what the NHL has to guard against. That will be the one enemy of the NHL team tonight, I agree, letting down.
Let's go down to the ice for the player introductions. Claude Bedard and Robert Falls. So while they get ready to introduce the players of both teams, now they are set. Let's go down to the ice.
Entre l'équipe nationale d'Union soviétique et les étoiles de la Ligue nationale de hockey.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Quebec City for the second game of Rendez-vous 87 between the players of the Soviet national team and the National Hockey League All-Star team.
Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles, Messieurs, Son Excellence, le gouverneur général du Canada, la très honorable Jeanne Sauvé et l'honorable Maurice Sauvé.
Her Excellency, the Governor General of Canada, the Right Honorable Jeanne Sauvé and the Honorable Maurice Sauvé. Here now is the starting lineup for the USSR national team. Playing in goal, wearing number 20, Evgeny Beloshakin.
À la défense, le numéro 2 et capitaine, Vyacheslav Fetisov. Le numéro 7, toujours à la défense, Alexis Kazatonov.
At center, wearing number 11, Igor Larionov. At left wing, wearing number 24, Sergei Makarov. At right wing, wearing number 9, Vladimir Krutov.
Et voici maintenant les joueurs de l'Union soviétique. Et maintenant, pour l'équipe de la Ligue nationale de hockey, devant le filet, le numéro 31, Grant Fuhrer.
On defense, wearing number 4, Rod Langway. Also on defense, wearing number 5, Rick Green.
Au centre, le numéro 10, Dave Howard-Chuck. À l'aile gauche, le numéro 20, Dave Poulain. À l'aile droite, le numéro 14, Kevin Denis. And now, please welcome the rest of the National Hockey League All-Star team. Rendez-vous 87. Rendez-vous 87 is a gathering of the three great nations represented throughout this wonderful week and their top athletes and artists. Durant toute la semaine qui s'achève, Rendez-vous 87 s'est voulu le rassemblement des artistes et des athlètes représentant trois des plus grandes nations de l'univers. Mesdames et messieurs, voulez-vous vous lever pour vous joindre à Monsieur Guy Lavoie, qui interprétera l'hymne national du RSS. Will sing the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem of the United States of America.
Oh
chanter au Canada. Accueillons Madame Ginette Renaud.
For the last 15 years, international hockey has become an integral part of our national game.
Depuis 15 ans, le hockey international a fourni aux amateurs quelques-uns des plus beaux moments de l'histoire de notre sport national. Qu'on pense à la série du siècle de 1972, la Coupe Canada de 1976 et la Coupe du défi de 1979. Qu'on pense aussi à la victoire surprise de l'équipe olympique des États-Unis à Lake Placid en 1980.
To commemorate some of the most important moments in the history of international competition, let's greet three players representing Canada, the United States, and the Soviet Union who played key roles in those competitions. Vladislav Tretiak, the hero of the 1972 Super Series. Mike Eruzione, captain of the 1980 U.S. Olympic gold medal winning team. And Guy Lafleur, member of the 1976 Canada Cup winning team.
Mesdames et messieurs, Vladislav Tretiak, Mike Eruzione et Guy Lafleur. Nous demandons maintenant au capitaine des deux équipes de s'approcher pour la mise au jeu protocolaire de cette rencontre.
And now the captains will exchange gifts, a tradition before every international hockey competition.
Les capitaines des deux équipes, Vyacheslav Fetisov et Wayne Gretzky, vont maintenant procéder au traditionnel échange de cadeaux entre les équipes participant à une rencontre internationale.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and enjoy the game.
International competition. We'll see more in just a few minutes. The Soviets making their 12th visit to North America. And Game 2 of Rendez-vous 87 coming up right after this timeout. Rendez-vous 87 is brought to you by Budweiser, the genuine article. And the NHL All-Stars defeating the Soviet national team in Game 1, 4-3. This will wrap up the two-game series. From the NHL, the referee is Dave Newell. The linesmen tonight, Ray Scampanello and Ron Finn. And in goal for the Soviet Union, Yevgeny Beloshekin.
Ken, he is clearly the number one goalie. He may have lost on Wednesday night. He wasn't the victor, However, they are going with him again. He has at times been inconsistent. He played well except for a couple of breakdowns, but that was a couple too many against the NHL team. At the other end, Coach Jean Perron, Bob Johnson, and Michel Bergeron aren't going to change a thing, going with Grant Fuhr.
Soviets are in red, the NHL All-Stars in white. Rick Green has the puck. He's on defense with Rod Langway. Up front, Dale Howard-Chuck with Dave Poulin and Kevin Dineen. As the NHL shoots the puck in, Vyacheslav Fedosov in the corner. He's teamed with Alexei Kasatonov. He's number 7, the other defenseman. Kasatonov with the puck up front. Larionov, Krutov, and Markov. Green for the NHL. Half a minute gone. First period. Second game of this 2-game Rendezvous 87 set in Quebec City. Poulin driving the puck into the corner, and Vladimir Krutov back for it. He overskates. Howard-Chuck sends it behind the net, and this is Kasatonov, the playmaker, and a dandy pass up to Igor Larionov. Number 11, Larionov, the 26-year-old centerman, spotting Krutov. Makarov is the other forward. He is number 24, and the Soviets change players. The NHL clears the zone. It'll be icing. Vyacheslav Fedosov touches the puck. Icing against the NHL. Faceoff comes back near Grant Fuhr. Bill Clement, the question. What does Viktor Tikhonov, the Soviets, do here? What does the NHL do? What do we look for in the first few minutes of the game?
Ken, I think the Soviets on Wednesday night were waiting for the NHL All-Stars to come out and be far more aggressive than they were. They expected the worst, and you know what? It didn't happen. I think with that in mind, they are going to come out and be more aggressive than they were on Wednesday night.
John Perron and his staff, Michel Bergeron of the Quebec Nordiques and Bob Johnson of the Calgary Flames, certainly impressed everyone with the plan they used for game number 1, and little reason to expect any changes.
I think the amazing thing, Ken, is that they pulled this whole thing together in about 48 hours. Players were arriving from all over North America to participate for the NHL team, and to have such a cohesive game plan was really outstanding. And the hitting gets going early. Perhaps the NHL is going to give the Soviets all they can handle physically in the early going. This is Dave Poulin running at young Tatarinov, the strong defenseman who is really the Soviets' most aggressive player. Again, I noticed on Wednesday night that when the NHL team did play very aggressively, they went out of their way to really take it to Tatarinov to show the strong man, the aggressive player of the Soviet Union, that if they had to do business, they could do business.
They're set for the face-off near Grant Fuhr. The NHL, obviously without Paul Coffey, Markow, Mike Bossy. They didn't make the trip here out with injuries. Tim Kerr has gone home, and Tomas Sandstrom, who had a rib injury, played in game 1, is out with an ankle injury. The NHL, Gretzky leaving the puck, and the play broken up. A chance for Tatarinov, the defenseman, for the Soviets. Stamak can't play it, and Svetlov overskates. And the puck comes to Yari Curry. Out to Chris Chelios, right under the stick of Mark Messier, and the shot deflected wide. Vasily Vervukin, number 5 for the Soviet Union, has his pass broken up. Yari Curry playing it off the boards for Esa Tikkanen. This is the Gretzky-Edmonton line. You'll recall they scored very early in game 1 on Wednesday night. Tikkanen keeping the puck in. Gretzky unable to center initially, and then Curry was just a stride ahead of the timing on that play for the Soviets. Sergei Svetlov taken out by Chelios. Then Kaminsky sends the puck behind the net, and here's Boston's Ray Bork. Head manning to Glenn Anderson. Gretzky can't take the pass. It's cleared out by Starikov. The NHL flipping the puck in. That's Tikkanen. This sort of batting it in as though this were handball. The Soviets come out of their own end, and they do so crisply. Valery Kaminsky, the youngster, number 13, over to Bykov, and a good save by Fuhr on Vyacheslav Bykov. Now, the Soviets trying to get that puck control, and Norman Rochefort, the Quebec Nordique defenseman, intercepts. There'll be no icing. They say the Soviets could have played the puck in the neutral zone. Starikov playing the puck around the boards, kept in by Holt Samuelson, the defenseman from the Hartford Whalers. Muller centers, can't reach Messier. Messier back to Ulf Samuelson. He takes out the on-rushing Yuri Hamalov. Rochefort. And Messier just turns the puck back into the Soviet zone. Billy lets it off. Gets it up to center ice.
Yes, he did, yes.
Priakin, number 22, getting it ahead. Nemchinov taken out, and the NHL comes back with Soviet Union. And it'll be against Sergei Nemchinov.
A little more aggressive play. Here's number 10, Lavrov of the Soviet Union, who is well rested. He did not suit up on Wednesday night, followed by a big save by Grant Pure, who has to actually turn baseball player here. Ken, he gets it up high. Tough place to save the puck when it's in that crotch of your arm. You get jammed in there, but he was able to bounce it in front of him, slam it into the corner. There's one of the big Soviet scoring guns, Vladimir Krutov. He has led the Soviet Elite League in 5 of the last 6 seasons. Here's the penalty on Mario Lemieux. He was getting ready to dance, wasn't he, Ken? It looks like Mario Lemieux is far more ready to play and participate as a strong competitor than he was on Wednesday.
NHL shorthanded, and Mark Messier scores. Gretzky initiates the play. Messier scores. Actually, the Soviet shorthanded, and the NHL converts on the power play. 1-0, NHL All-Stars.
Kind of an unknown commodity, Ken. After Wednesday night, the NHL team had 1 power play. Starting tonight, an early power play. That's an uncharacteristic breakdown. Number 2, Fedosov, Krutov were both beside the net. The Soviets don't usually get that disorganized, but notice who started the magic going. It was Wayne Gretzky. In behind, one of the Soviets falls. That's a break for Gretzky. But Fedosov moves over. Very surprised at number 9, Krutov, also moving to that same side. Look, they're all going to that one side. We saw 3 reds because Gretzky, they assumed, was going to come out that way. They don't know how Wayne Gretzky can wheel and deal in behind a goal.
Mark Messier on the power play goal. It takes but 10 seconds after the tripping penalty to the Soviet Sergei Nemchinov. And you have to believe the Soviets have to be a bit concerned, falling behind tonight, just as they did Wednesday night in Game 1. Curry and Gretzky assisting at 3:32. Messier gets the goal. And the NHL with a puck. Rick Green teamed on defense with Ron Langway. Up front, it's Howard Chuck with Dineen and Poole, and Green flips the puck in. The NHL didn't dump it in or shoot it in that much in the first period on Wednesday night in Game 1. They started to do it more as the game went on. On with Larionov and Makarov. Makarov with the puck. He can be a dazzling playmaker, stick handler. Fedosov. Larionov. He shoots, and the save by Pure, and off his stick the puck sails into the crowd. This is Rendezvous 87, coming to you on ESPN from Quebec.
Even Davy Johnson, manager of the Mets, has days when his pitcher and his stomach balk.
Can't believe he walks the leadoff batter.
Which is why Davy keeps Rolaids nearby. Rolaids antacid is serious medicine that consumes all the acid required to bring millions 100% relief.
I hope he doesn't throw him a fastball.
And on days filled with errors and frankfooters, Rolaids relief is what's needed most.
I should have gone into golf.
Get serious relief. Get Rolaids.
You know, one of the things that makes number 20 of this NHL All-Star team, Dave Poulin of the Philadelphia Flyers, so great is his aggressive play and his willingness to follow through on the checks. You can see that number 7, Kasatonov, though, got the stick up on him. The Soviets, it looks like, are anticipating some physical play tonight from the NHL All-Stars.
And the NHL with their French-Canadian line on as Samac's shot is turned away. Michel Goulet with a puck on the left wing, Mario Lemieux in the middle, and on the right wing, Claude Lemieux from the Montreal Canadiens. Chris Chelios, the American-born defenseman, over to Ray Bork, and Goulet will barrel into the corner. He's met there by Per Buchan. Per Buchan for the USSR. Swetlov. He stopped at center ice. Goulet trying to turn the puck in. Can't avoid Tatarinov. Bork. Chelios. It's 1-0. The NHL All-Stars leading here as this first period approaches the 5-minute mark. Per Buchan. He's taken out heavily. Lavrov. Samac stopped by Samuelson, and Dineen takes a hit, gives the puck to Claude Lemieux. Samuelson leading the attack for the NHL All-Stars. He stopped. NHL All-Stars changing players. Rochefort back, clears the zone, onto the stick of Kevin Dineen, quickly to Anderson, and ahead to Kirk Muller, the youngster from the New Jersey Devils. He's ridden out heavily by Igor Stelmach. The Soviets break out of their own end in a hurry. Here's Kaminsky trying to get around Samuelson. Valery Kaminsky puts on the brakes, and Samuelson does a good job covering the puck, holding it for a face-off.
Go ahead, Ken. Sorry, I was just going to talk about Samuelson's great defensive play getting back. To me, it looked as if Kamensky had dragged the puck by him. Samuelson lost it in his feet. By the time Kamensky was ready to get back and cut into the net, Samuelson was already back. He showed great speed. Here it is. Turning around Samuelson, it looked as if it was beaten. But boy, he tracked down number 13, Kamensky, really well. More physical play in the Soviet end. That's big Claude Lemieux of the Montreal Canadiens. We said in our open that in Game 1 on Wednesday, the Soviets expected the NHL team to come and be aggressive, and they weren't. The NHL team is far more aggressive tonight. Perhaps the coaching staff said, all right, they think we're going to come out and play a finesse game. Let's get out there and hit them all over the ice and throw them off balance.
Gusarov shot stopped. Priakin, number 22, gets the puck in front and trying to get the shot Hameloff, and it's blocked. This is Gretzky with Curry and Tikkanen. And the puck held by Bello Shakin. 14:09 to go in the opening period. The NHL leads 1-0.
Suspended for 3 games for consumption of alcohol, and that seems to be a problem that's not only in the Soviet Union in general, but in their sports team. One of their young players in the national team that played for the Red Army was suspended for life from both the national team and the Red Army team for violations of their drinking rules on the team.
I guess some things truly are international.
Yeah, there's very little difference, I guess.
Coming up to the 6-minute mark, first period, Howard Chuck being bothered by Larionov. Howard Chuck, a nice move. He plays center for the Winnipeg Jets. A shot. Dineen rebound, and the puck deflects high. There's an example of Bello Shakin not handling the puck very well again. That's one of the keys, possibly, for the NHL, as Bill pointed out at the start of the telecast. Larionov. Now Krutov with a puck in his skates. It gets by him. Langway for the NHL. Quick pass, and Poulin gets it out of his own end, and the Soviets take over. Larionov plays it back to the defense. Kasatonov. Larionov, Fetisov, back to Larionov. The NHL doing some good forechecking. This is a real checking line here of Dineen, Poulin, and Howard Chuck. 1-0, the NHL leads in the first period. Sergei Makarov, and it's offside, Soviet Union. They were offside only once in the entire first game.
Boy, that tells you about the discipline. There's Kasatonov, the second best defenseman in Soviet hockey, and he kind of plays in the shadow of number 2, big Vyacheslav Fetisov. When Fetisov is not in uniform for injury or any other reason, Kasatonov seems to shine a lot more. But that statistic on the offside scan is an indication of what the National Hockey League All-Stars are up against from a discipline standpoint, and they never change the way they play. The Soviets always like a machine.
Bill, on Wednesday night, I was amazed at the slow start the Soviets had. They played their best hockey late in the game, and I'm actually stunned tonight that they haven't come out of the gate much stronger here in game number 2.
I am too. They've been a dejected group for the last couple of days. Their only exercise yesterday after a little skate, a walk around their hotel.
Here's Samak, number 18, unable to center, too well covered by Mario Lemieux. Claude Lemieux gets the puck ahead. It's Mario Lemieux. Over the line with Goulet. Samak on the back of Mario Lemieux and does a good job taking him out. The Soviet Union on the attack. Svetlov. He's on the line with Lavrov. Oh, a big hit on Tatarinov, who gets the puck back. Doug Wilson drilled him, and in front, an opportunity for Lavrov, unable to deflect the puck on goal. Stelnov, the defenseman, up in the corner. Good job controlling the puck. Svetlov and Goulet, 2 number 16s. Then Doug Wilson steps into Svetlov. Doug Wilson, the Chicago Blackhawk defenseman, to Mario Lemieux. Igor Stelnov, the 24-year-old Soviet, feeds too far for Bykov. Rochefort gets the puck from Bork, and the NHL stopped at center ice. Nifty moving here by Bykov. He shoots. Pure the save, and oh, what a job by Pure holding on to the rebound. This is the best of international hockey.
3 years they've been training for one race and one goal: to bring home the cup. Budweiser is proud to have sponsored Dennis Conner and a crew of the Stars and Stripes in their quest to bring the America's Cup home from Australia.
A long way from home, but you're not alone, 'cause your country's home. So I'll stay with you. You make America work, and this fight's for you.
Wilson, Bill Clement here in Quebec City.
Take a look at Mario Lemieux being hounded by number 18 of the Soviet Union, young Alexander Semak. We talk about the Soviets controlling Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. No question in my mind, Ken, Mario Lemieux has the legs tonight that he didn't have. And we talk about giving away the blue line. Notice the NHL defensemen, how far back in they are. That lets Bykov come rolling across the blue line, and everything sags in around Grant Fuhr. That is that precious barrier that the NHL All-Stars want to defend, is the blue line. That time they gave it away. You see what happens when they give the blue line away.
Bykov had one of the 3 Soviet goals on Wednesday night. Defenseman Alexei Kasatonov had the other. And Anatoly Semenov, number 30, you may recall, who crashed into the goalpost after the goal, got the 3rd Soviet goal Wednesday night. He is on the shelf, not dressed tonight, nor is Mikhail Varnikov. But Vyacheslav Lavrov, number 10, and Sergei Nemchinov, number 21, are in their place. Messier, the goal scorer, leaves the puck, and the Soviet Union taking good care of things in their own end. At center ice, Curry gets it back in, and Belletrinov, number 14, leaves it in the corner. Now Yari Curry intercepts for the NHL All-Stars. There's Gretzky trying to get it in front to Deacon. Look at Gretzky move. The mastery of Wayne Gretzky, the shot. It's knocked down in front. Gretzky centers after the puck for Bukin. He's beaten to it by Rochefort. Now Belletrinov, the veteran defenseman, is stopped. Here's Yari Curry. He's taken out by Priakin. And the Soviets on the attack out of their own zone. They trail 1-0. Gusarov, the defenseman, drills one just wide. There's Hamelov, number 29. He'll fake a shot, and intercepting is Yari Curry as action moves the other way. Curry with Deaconin, and the NHL wants to change players. The NHL All-Stars leading the Soviet national team 1-0. This is the first period with 10:35 to go here at the Coliseum in Quebec City. Larionov has Makarov in front, and Makarov is stopped. Rebound, and unable to get a shot away is Kasatonov. Now Larionov gives the puck to Kasatonov at the right point. Fetisov is at the left point. Anderson is all over him, and intercepting is Green. Head manning to Anderson. Now Anderson with Mueller, and the shot blocked. Then Anderson taken out, and things a bit more chippy tonight than they were in Game 1, and referee Dave Newell has stopped play. There's 10:10 to go in the opening period. The NHL All-Stars lead the Soviets 1-0.
To rise, to meet the challenge,
Steady on course 320.
to master the most advanced skills,
You're at the rendezvous point.
to meet the future with new confidence,
Officer the deck, surface the ship.
Full rise, aye.
to break through. Show the world your U.S. Navy. Live the adventure. Call 1-800-327-NAVY.
Here's our reverse angle super slow-mo camera watching Igor Larionov, who the people that follow the Soviet Union hockey, Dave King, the coach of the Canadian national team, says sees the ice as well as anybody in the world just about, knows where his players are. And when you get running around in your own end against the Soviet Union, it's when you have the toughest time. Watch Gretzky try and go up over the shoulder of Beloshakin. It hit a stick, I believe, and went down. Did it not hit Gusarov's stick? But Wayne Gretzky had a plan when he came around. He likes to come around, and he has one of the best high backhand shots when he's sweeping around of anybody in the NHL. He was going high, but deflected in front.
Coincidental penalties at 9:50 to Vladimir Krutov and Glenn Anderson, each 2 minutes for high sticking, and there is an offside for the Soviet Union. Well, Bill Clement, it is very easy to get involved in this 2-game series, and all the years you played in the NHL, I think under that tuxedo, you could well have that NHL crest. It would be easy for you to almost feel as though you're wearing the uniform.
Ken, when we watched the tape of our game yesterday, I couldn't imagine how often I said the words us and we, referring to the NHL All-Star team, and I'm sitting up here feeling impartial. I must apologize to anyone who is offended by it, but I guess those roots, those subconscious roots of all the years in the NHL run a little deeper than I thought.
Well, from time to time, it's easy to be impartial. I am partial to Budweiser. They keep the action going so you can enjoy the game. That clean, cool, crisp taste of Budweiser. For all you do, my friend, this Bud's for you. 1-0, NHL All-Stars in the lead. 10-minute mark is just past. Opening period, Game 2 of Rendez-vous 87, a unique 2-game series, and there's no reason to think it'll be held again soon. It's a one-time only affair, part of the Winter Carnival here in Quebec City, and it has been a tremendous week. Beloshakin leaving the puck forward to Taranov. Ooh, and a big check by Messier. Blowing up Svetlov. After the puck in the corner, Pervukin. Ooh, and he's hit. Lavrov can't get the puck out. Green whacks it in the corner to Dineen. He's bumped by Pervukin. Behind the net, Kurt Muller. Muller in front, and unable to get his stick on the puck, Mark Messier. Back comes the Soviet Union. Lavrov didn't play in game one. He takes a shot, blocked by Langway. Up to Muller, too far, kept in by Staranov. Now Rod Langway again. Born in Taiwan, but grew up in Randolph, Massachusetts. Did Rod Langway near Boston.
One of only 34 players in the NHL from Taiwan.
The Soviets trailing 1-0. Kaminsky, youngest Soviet player, number 13, can't center around Green. Oh, you can't say enough about Rick Green and Rod Langway. Mario Lemieux throws his weight around. Doug Wilson plays the puck off the glass. It goes into the crowd, and that stops action with 8:45 to go in the first period. There's a close look at Valery Kaminsky, only 20 years of age.
And he's one of the new breed of Soviets. He will drop his gloves if the situation arises. Also, Samak of the Soviet Union, Tataranov will drop his gloves. These are the new breed of players, and if the Soviets learned anything from the NHL, Ken, I think it all started in 1976 when the Philadelphia Flyers physically beat the Red Army team, and the Soviets said this intimidation stuff does work, and the new breed is coming along.
Big check by Samuelson. Battle along the boards. Beekoff knocked down. Kaminsky taken out by Samuelson. Mario Lemieux trying to get the puck ahead, but play is stopped. Now there'll be a penalty after the whistle as Claude Lemieux barreled into Igor Stelnov after the whistle. I believe there was a whistle for a hand pass, and Dave Newell now will call a high sticking penalty.
Ken, that's the kind of discipline breakdown that can hurt a team like the NHL All-Stars as well. Boy, he took an awful run. He is like a raging bull. He was like that on Wednesday night, all 220 pounds of him. A lot of raised eyebrows when he was selected to this team. Boy, he just crushes Stelnov. Even when he was selected to the team, his coach in Montreal, Jean Perron, who coaches here, said he is one of the best defensive players in the National Hockey League today, and we need him for his physical play.
The NHL now will play a man short. Claude Lemieux at 11:33 getting the high sticking penalty. The only goal came when the NHL All-Stars had the power play at 3:32. Messier from Curry and Gretzky. And Bill, you go back to one of the key points you made. The Soviet power play. Here in Game 1 Wednesday night, the Soviets showed some real good movement of the puck, but they were 0 for 4 with a man advantage.
Yes, they have to execute. And when we do NHL games, we talk about power plays. And even when penalty-killing units are going very well, sooner or later, the law of averages says that something is going to break down and you're going to have a goal scored against you.
There's an interesting sight. Yevgeny Beloshakin taking a rest. That's the way the Soviets do it. I know my son, who's 8, does it in soccer when the action's at the other end, but you would never see that in professional sports in North America.
Well, it's not a real macho thing to do, sit down on the job, is it? But let's face it, it makes sense. Does it not to you? I mean, it's far less taxing on your legs when you're on your knees, provided your pads don't stick to the ice when you decide to get up.
There are the shots on goal, the Soviets with the margin, but the NHL with the lead 1-0. NHL playing shorthanded. Gretzky gets the puck out. Stelnov backboard. Kaminsky. He's seen a lot of ice time in this two-game series. Valery Kaminsky. Can't get around Langway. Green taken out by Beekoff. Green recovers nicely to clear the puck, but it hits an NHL player who had his arm out over the edge of the board, so play is stopped, and there'll be a face-off. 8:01 to go in the first period.
What a tower of power number 5 has been Rick Green for the NHL All-Star team. Interesting article in the Montreal Gazette about how his general manager, Serge Savard, met with a lot of resistance in selecting number 5, Rick Green. Here's Beekoff and Green fighting along the boards. Look at little Beekoff peck away at Green. Pull on him, pull on him. Small. Do you see a difference in size, Ken? We talked the other night about how the Soviets in general are far smaller than the NHL forwards to the point of being 155 and 60 pounds, but they combine strength and balance and put those two together and it equals power on the ice. Balance is the key.
NHL on the defense, playing a man short. Gretzky, Curry. On the defense, Bork, and that man Samuelson who blocks the shot. Jari Kurri clears the puck out.
interesting, Ken, that the Soviets now seem to have adopted an NHL style of power play. For years, the Soviets would never just shoot the puck at the net and hope to jam in front. Now, it seems, they want to blast from the point, have somebody jamming in front, while NHL teams are actually getting away from that. We have taken from them. They have taken from us on the power play.
Larionov to Krutov. This is the big line of Makarov, Larionov, and Krutov. Fedosov and Kasatonov, the defenseman on the point. Kasatonov to Fedosov. And the shot deflected wide. Makarov. Fedosov, the pass. And Samuelson smells that one. Krutov nicely. Fedosov, screen shot wide. Half a minute to go in the NHL penalty, and Poulin clears the puck the length of the ice. There's less than 7 minutes remaining. First period of play. NHL leading the Soviets 1-0 late in the Soviet Union power play. Lavrov pulled off stride by Messier. Semak trying to battle Green. That's a mismatch. Then Lavrov helps out as Semak loses his helmet. Back to Lavrov. Makarov is still in front of the net. Now the NHL back at full strength as Claude Lemieux returns to the ice. Rod Langway gets the puck. Turns it up for Claude Lemieux. Goes by him. Also Kasatonov. And here's Vyacheslav Fedosov, the 28-year-old Soviet defenseman. And just getting it out is Fedosov. Rochefort, who did not play in Game 1, gets the puck ahead, and Goulet shoots it in. Both teams at full strength. Normand Rochefort plays with the Quebec Nordiques. And he is drilled from behind by Sergei Svetlov. And some bumping right in front of the penalty box. There's a break in the action. Game 2 of Rendezvous 87. And the NHL All-Stars leading the Soviet national team 1-0.
The 1946 MG. The 1957 Thunderbird. The 1987 Volvo 740 Turbo. A collector's item you can drive every day.
Quebec City, oh, what a beautiful city. A cost of $14 million to put on Rendezvous 87, and there hasn't been a flaw. You can't say enough about the week that has turned out to just be fabulous, highlighted by 2 tremendous hockey games.
I think, Ken, the greatest compliment you could pay to Marcel Aubu is that it's obvious when you come and attend all of the festivities that $14 million was spent. Very often you say, where the heck did $14 million go? It's obvious here at Rendezvous 87 where it went.
On Monday night when I had beaver crystal soup, that gave me a hint where some of the cash went.
Beaver population in Canada suffered because of it. However, the soup was good.
Rochefort battling the veteran defenseman Belly Letonov. Belly Letonov, number 14, 31 years of age, the oldest Soviet player, and Zinatula able to freeze the puck, and there's the faceoff, and that's something we saw very little of on Wednesday night in game number 1.
How do you like that handle, Ken? Zinatul Belyaletdinov. Gosh, I wonder if he has a nickname. He's got to. There's the Soviet coach, Viktor Tikhonov, and he is the son of a Russian soldier who was killed in 1942 resisting a Nazi offensive near Stalingrad. Every time I think of that story, for some reason it sends chills up and down my back. Conjures up all kinds of vivid pictures.
And here we are, 1987, Rendezvous 87 in Quebec City, as the best professionals of North America and Scandinavia on the NHL All-Star team play the best professional players from the Soviet Union. And of course, this is the same team that plays in the Olympics every 4 years as a so-called amateur team. NHL shooting the puck in, possible icing, but Beloshakin touches it. Priakin, number 22, charging to center ice. You don't see that many end-to-end rushes like this. More of a passing game for the Soviets, and Bork puts an end to it in a hurry. Doug Wilson playing the puck around the boards, kept in. Amalov gets it in front, and Doug Wilson spins around Nemchinov. Bork on on the charge for the NHL. Long shot, and that goes off the blocker of Bello Shakin. Billy Letinoff around the boards. And at center ice, an opportunity for Hummaloff. He's a 22-year-old winger, and he loses the puck to Chris Chelios. Bikov intercepts for the Soviets. Now the Soviet national team dangerous and having trouble. Homutov in the NHL clears the zone. Chelios will circle. There's 4:22 to go in the first period, and the NHL All-Stars lead 1-0 on a power play goal by Mark Messier. Gretzky, Tikkanen, Curry. Gretzky goes for the far corner. Soviets intercept. Bikov does a fine job there. Homutov to Bikov. Look at Yari Curry back check. At center ice, Igor Stelnov. He gets the puck right back from Saranov. They're teamed on defense. Up front, Kaminsky with Bikov and Homutov for the red-clad Soviets. Pass too far for Kaminsky. Langway. Gretzky. Oh, he took that pass. It looked like an impossible play that he makes easy. Tikkanen, a one-hopper, gloved by Bello Shakin. There's an example of the NHL just trying to play the puck to Bello Shakin. Much more tonight than they would have the other night. Kaminsky, Bikov, and Gretzky. Gretzky's been much more dominant in the first period. Bork pokes the puck ahead, but the NHL and Soviets are both changing players on the go. 3:15 remaining first period, and this crowd, an international crowd in Quebec City, enjoying this fast-paced second game of Rendezvous 87. Krutov a shot off the side of the net. Svetlov taken out by two NHLers, Wilson and Bork. The NHL on the move. Dale Hawerchuk. Ahead to Dineen, but offside is Dave Poulin, and then Dineen barrels into Fetisov, and Fetisov might have gotten cut. He went right to his face. Then Krutov tries to shove his way in as Krutov took a bit of a swipe at Chelios.
Boy, Dineen just kept rolling there on number 2, Vyacheslav Fetisov. He's certainly surrounded by red, but that doesn't scare a little guy like Kevin Dineen of the Hartford Whalers. He is made of the right stuff. Boy, he took an awful shot at Fetisov. I think Fetisov surprised him, Ken, and when he saw him coming, it was, uh-oh, I better do something. And up with the arms.
This game has been a little bit different than game number 1. The similarity, the Soviet Union not doing much in the first period. The difference, we've seen many more body checks, and that could be the fact that NHL referee Dave Newell is here and not the Soviet official, who, by the way, was superb in game number 1.
He was, but nevertheless, as we pointed out before the game, he was a potential concern because of the last time he refereed an NHL game where he called 24 of 28 minutes in penalties against the NHL. You could be very right about that this game plan is different because Dave Newell is officiating tonight. But the Soviets, Ken, so far in this game, to me, do not look like the Soviets. I have seen them carry the puck as individuals far more than they usually do. They pride themselves on the team concept. Yet tonight, first it's Kaminsky, and then it's Krutov. They carry it one by one, and they're just running finally into a dead-end street.
Fetisov of the Soviet Union gets a 2-minute roughing penalty here at 17:04. The NHL, early in the first period, took only 10 seconds to score on their first power play. I'm a little bit surprised at that penalty call.
That's 2 minutes for receiving. It happens at times.
Anderson, and it goes wide. Bork keeps the puck in. Hawerchuk with Goulet. Goulet tries to get the puck, is unable to. Anderson is the other forward. Bork and Doug Wilson are on the points on the NHL All-Stars power play. Michel Goulet, big goal scorer for Quebec to Hawerchuk. From Winnipeg, he's dumped. Hawerchuk. Kasatonov all over him, and Krutov clears the puck down the ice.
And the NHL All-Stars have to be very careful against the Soviet penalty killers. Have to remember, the Soviet Union is the country that perfected and popularized attack even when you're a man down. That's why Wayne Gretzky and players of his caliber, mostly offensive, are now killing penalties in the NHL. Originally, it was the Soviets that decided you can attack even when you're shorthanded, and they do.
48 seconds to go in the NHL power play. That was Gretzky to Curry, now to Messier. 3 Edmonton Oilers up front. Gretzky, Messier, Bork, Gretzky, and intercepting the Soviet Union, and Vladimir Krutov clears the puck the length of the ice. Only 1:20 to go now in this first period with the NHL All-Stars on top of the Soviet national team, 1-0. Mike Ramsey of the Buffalo Sabres, one of the three Americans, and he has not played much in this first period. Tatarinov. Zamak. 5 seconds left in the power play for the NHL as Splitvov loses the puck to Mario Lemieux. Ahead to Wayne Gretzky. Claude Lemieux breaks for the net. Gretzky, a shot pass stopped by Bello Shakin, and I do believe that was a shot pass. Rod Langway. And play is stopped. Both teams now are at full strength with only 46 seconds to go in this opening period.
Look at his stick and Montreal, and it's a fluorescent stick that he's using tonight. He really comes out of the net and then backs in as he reads the play, but he has to rely on his defenseman, similar to any other hockey team. When you're out that far, you have to know that you're being covered to the side. Most of the time he is. Here's Gretzky coming. He just seems to lay this in, hoping, I think, he may have even been shooting for a deflection off of the Soviet skate. You can never be sure with Wayne Gretzky. He knows what's happening at all times, and he's always in control. That looked like a soft shot. He might have been trying to deflect it in off a skate.
On the replay, you saw Mario Lemieux, but to the left of that was Claude Lemieux. But Claude was very well covered, so consequently it was tough to try to make a good pass. Here come the Soviets. Both teams are at full strength. Homyatov, Bikov, backhand shot, Pure the save. Shots are just about even in this first period. Mario Lemieux, he's got Poulin flying. Starring off back. After the puck is Denis. He avoids the check nicely. Kevin Denis leaves it for Mario Lemieux. His pass rejected. Mario Lemieux still with the puck. Behind the net to Kevin Denis. Look at Poulin in front, knocked down. There's some tough play. Sergei Starakov taking care of the NHL All-Star in front of the goal. Gusarov, check. Kaminsky trying to get to the puck, checked by Denis as the first period comes to an end with the whistle of referee Dave Newell wailing away. The only goal in the first period, that power play goal, scored early by the NHL at 3:32 from Edmonton. Mark Messier getting the goal. Yari Curry and Wayne Gretzky draw the assist. So similar in terms of tempo, the way the NHL is taking it away early tonight from the Soviet Union. It's the end of the first period, Game 2, Rendezvous 87. We're having fun, and we hope you are, in Quebec City. The NHL leads it 1-0.
Plymouth Voyager gives America a powerful new reason why the pride is back. Front-wheel drive V6 power, fuel-injected power, power to climb, to pass, to carry, to move you. And quality backed by a new 7-year or 70,000-mile protection plan. Plymouth Voyager V6.
The pride is back, born in America again.
Excuse me. Can I help you?
I'm not sure. I'm looking for the perfect TV. A 27-inch with black matrix, 110-degree angle of deflection, computer-accurate digital access tuning, 178 channels, built-in stereo decoder, and it's got to have infrared remote control that runs the TV, cable, and VCR, even if they're different brands. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. You want a Magnavox.
The perfect picture, the perfect remote. Nobody puts it together like Magnavox.
Charlie, give me a light. Charlie, a Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
Hey, thanks. So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
How can I have a light? Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
My new Olympus is the only autofocus SLR with a built-in flash, like this. In case I want to shoot, like this.
The new Olympus OM77AF, the only autofocus SLR that does it all.
The Great American Face. Rugged, distinctive. The Great American Razor. Aptra. Solid. Pivots for closeness. The Great American Face deserves the Great American Shave. Aptra. Only from Gillette.
back to the Colisée. Tom Mees along with John Saunders, and it's the same score, John, we had after the first period of game number 1 on Wednesday night. This time, another Edmonton Oiler, Mark Messier from Curry and Gretzky. How often have we heard that?
I know, we keep talking about how important it was for Team NHL to pick whole teammates, 8 players from the Edmonton Oilers to come in and play, and it has certainly turned out that way with the Edmonton Oilers doing it twice in Game 1 and in Game 2.
I don't think I'm going out on a limb to predict that several of the players now on the ice for Team NHL someday will be in the NHL Hall of Fame. Of course, Wayne Gretzky is a lock already, and several other these players will be too. You had a chance to tour the Hall of Fame, which is moved temporarily here to Quebec City.
That's right. It's usually in Toronto. As you know, years ago, it used to take 5 years to be elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame after your playing career came to an end. They waived that one, of course, when Gordie Howe came out. He had to go immediately in. Some of these players who are here this week will definitely be going in like that. And if you come to Quebec, you cannot miss the Hockey Hall of Fame. The Hockey Hall of Fame is the hockey fans' ultimate tourist trap. And with the future Hall of Famers in town, Quebecers and visitors to Rendez-vous 87 have had a chance to see those who've already been enshrined. The exhibit is housed in the heart of the city, has been most popular place this week. Thousands visited each day, and lines have been long and steady. The Hall of Fame is a visitor to Quebec City as well. Now, it's usually housed at the Canadian National Exhibition on the shores of Lake Ontario in Toronto. Earlier this month, the Cup's trophies, uniforms, sticks, and pucks were packed up and loaded into trucks for the journey east to Quebec City and Rendezvous. Inside the hall, the history of the National Hockey League is on display. Past Stanley Cup champions, days of 7 players on the ice for each team. And with any sport, advances in equipment have changed the game from the days of these photos. Many teams have passed through the National Hockey League over the years. The Ottawa Silver, 7 Montreal Maroons, teams that no longer exist, but have their names carved into the Stanley Cup. For years, goalies didn't even wear masks, but then came along the slap shot, and goalies went to the face protection. They've come a long way. Take a look at Gilles Gratton's lion's face, highlighting some of the artwork over the last 10 years or so. More from the present and the gold medal uniforms worn by the 1980 Olympic champions at Lake Placid. And then the ultimate jewel of the Hall of Fame and #1 prize of the National Hockey League. The oldest trophy competed for by team athletes. Lord Stanley's gift to the NHL, the Stanley Cup. On this is written the name of every player on Stanley Cup winning teams, from Aurel Joliet to Wayne Gretzky. The NHL's Hockey Hall of Fame.
Big deal. Sir, excuse me, but there's one big deal you haven't made.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you see,
I'm talking about a deal on Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated?
Yeah. A savings of more like 50% off the cover price. 27 action-packed weeks for 3 installments of just $9.79 each. Kid, you're a hit. Hit! What about free videotape? The NFL Crunch Course. It's 43 minutes of the NFL's greatest hits. Makes a smashing gift, and it's free with your paid subscription. Free. Plus, you get their 87 baseball preview with schedule and their famous swimsuit issue. Major League! Just call it a toll-free number. You can even use your credit card.
That's right. Get the savings, the schedule, the special issues, and the free Crunch Course tape. That's the big news. Any questions, gentlemen?
Where are the phones?
That'll be all right.
Sports Illustrated. Get the feeling.
Call now, 1-800-525-5...
Moving into the slot, shooting, he scores! Hits the goal post! Great save! Going in on a break. Score! Here's another breakaway. Goal!
Shooting at a quick save. He winds a drive. A save, a shot, there it goes! Oh, and a check shot, scores! Scores! He
NHL hockey. Feel the thunder.
again to the Colisée. Tom Mees along with Bill Clement, who has trudged down from up near the ceiling to be with us here in our studio. Bill, if there's one thing that really strikes everybody in the face, I think, comparing this game to Wednesday night, it's the physical play, especially the play of the NHL defenseman, and in this case, Doug Wilson.
Well, we talked about forechecking earlier in the game and how important that is. The NHL forechecking, Tom, is far more aggressive than it was the other night, especially with the hitting. But compound that situation that the Soviets have to deal with a lot of hitting by the defensemen in the Soviet offensive zone, which is the NHL team's defensive zone, and it's really an onslaught right now that the Soviets are going to have to do something about.
Well, now, Bill, we saw some great hits by Dave Poulin, who was the hero of game number 1, but we're going to see a hit here by Doug Wilson of the Blackhawks without the helmet.
Tom, this is one of those mandatory hits. There were so many other hits where players could have chosen to either hit or not hit. That was one of those times you learn that as a kid. When the player tries to put the puck between your legs and go around you, that's when you actually play the body, and that's what Doug Wilson did. It was mandatory. You have to do that against the Soviets. They love you to play the puck. What they do is they hand it to you, take it away, you're gone north, they're gone south towards the goal.
And see you later. One of the upcoming young defensemen in the NHL is old Samuelsson out of Sweden. He's plays for the Hartford Whalers, and he had a play where he was beaten temporarily but had the speed to get back and cover up in that period.
He's really underrated. I think he's going to make a name for himself in this two-game set. A lot of people said, oh, Samuelsson, who the heck is this guy and why is he chosen? But you've seen the Hartford Whalers play before. Many people that have know that he's a great defenseman. He turned the wrong way. That's what got him off to a bad start. But he's actually able to track down number 13, Kamensky of the Soviet Union, and just come up with yet another good defensive play. This kid is going to be great, and he plays atypical European hockey. He actually plays very physically, very similar to Thomas Sandstrom of the New York Rangers.
In your days with the Flyers, they were known as a big physical team, and on the blue line, on defense, you used to line up like bowling pins and dare the other team to get by you. But in this game, the NHL defense at times seems to be sagging and giving the Soviets the blue line.
How dare you call me a bowling pin? But you're absolutely right. The coaching staff talked about that blue line as a big barrier that they wanted to maintain. When it breaks down, it's very, very apparent that the Soviets are at their best. When they back in across that blue line, allow the Soviets to penetrate and wheel and deal. Here's a good example of it. Bykov laterally across the line. Everybody's sagging back in. Look at all the white jerseys that are right back in there. At one point, that's too much traffic for Grant Fuhr to have to handle. They have to make sure that barrier is maintained, that blue line, defensively.
When you sag back in, you're really putting all the pressure on your goaltender, and by sagging back in, you create screens. And speaking of the goaltender, Grant Fuhr has turned in another great job in the first period.
He has. I'm sure some people at this stage are saying, gosh, I hope he doesn't let another weak one in between his legs. But he has been very, very sharp. There have been some screenshots. The Soviets have slapped the puck quite a bit, too. This one will just go off the side of the net once he makes the save, and he is excellent again tonight. Very, very sharp.
Okay, so Grant Fuhr is very sharp. That bodes well for the NHL All-Stars. But remember, they only have that one-goal lead, and the Soviets can strike so quickly. That does it from now from Quebec City. We'll be back with more of our Between Periods entertainment in just a moment.
Patient, dining table. Diagnosis, worn finish, no shine. Treatment, facelift.
Now there's a facelift for furniture. New Formby's Facelift, my secret for bringing dull furniture back to life. Facelift revives the shine without refinishing. In less than an hour, you can smooth away the wear and tear and lay down a bright new facelift finish that will shine for years to come. That's what Formby's Facelift is all about. Making your furniture look alive and beautiful again without major surgery.
It's important to me to be in control, and I want control over my IRA, to move in and out of my investments as I think best. That's why I have my IRA at Charles Schwab, the discount broker. I like knowing I can switch between investments at any time, as often as I like, and never pay a penalty. I'd recommend the Charles Schwab IRA.
To get your free booklet on the one IRA for all your investment needs, call now 800-652-2300. That's 800-652-2300.
The idea of Rendezvous 87. He had a lot more in mind than just the two fine hockey games we brought you here on ESPN. He wanted to make this a real international experience and show off the flavor of Quebec City and Quebec province. And let's take a look at some of the events that have gone on this week in beautiful Quebec City, Quebec. One of them was hosted by Lee Iacocca, the chairman of the board of Chrysler Corporation. And there's Mr. Iacocca attending a businessman's lunch. And, of course, several prominent businessmen from around the Quebec area and all over the province of Canada, the Quebec province of Canada. Some 2,500 people were on hand, and a good time was had by all. Guy Lafleur, the Hall of Famer, and Gordie Howe, another Hall of Famer, seated at one table there. Guy Lafleur has really been a great ambassador for the game since he decided to retire. Now, at the Gala Entertainment Show, variety show, Alan Thicke, the star of ABC's Growing Pains, was the host. And, of course, what would a gala week be of entertainment without a fashion show? And we had some of the prettiest ladies, and there are many of them here in Quebec City, in the province, modeling some of the, well, more interesting collections of attire I have seen in a long time. I don't know if she would be wearing that particular get-up today when it was about 10 below zero, although maybe she's a Cleveland Browns fan, so they've been known to do some nutty things. Our score after one period, the NHL All-Stars 1, the Soviet national team nothing.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Pitcher of light. Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Hey, could I tap some of your computer expertise, son?
So you finally gave in.
Yeah, for starters, how does the disk fit into the disk drive?
Okay,
The Army can train you to program, operate, or fix computers.
What does the printer interface do?
it lets the computer talk to the printer.
They talk to each other. What do they say?
Then there's a telephone modem hookup.
And the computer training you get is yours forever.
Looks like you're not going to be the only computer expert in the valley.
Yes. The big news is that I've made some very important big deals.
Sir, excuse me, but there's one big deal you haven't made.
Yeah, right. You see...
I'm talking about a deal on Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated?
Yeah. A savings of more like 50% off the cover price. 27 action-packed weeks for 3 installments of just $9.79 each. Kid, you're a hit. Hit! What about free videotape? The NFL Crunch Course. It's 43 minutes of the NFL's greatest hits. It makes a smashing gift, and it's free with your paid subscription. Free. Plus, you get their 87 baseball preview with schedule and their famous swimsuit issue. Major League! And just call a toll-free number. You can even use your credit card.
That's right. Get the savings, the schedule, the special issues, and the free Crunch Course Day. That's the big news. Any questions, gentlemen?
Where are the phones?
That'll be all right.
Sports Illustrated. Get the feeling.
Call now, 1-800-525-5700.
Welcome back to the Colisée. I'm Tom Mees, and that excellent picture of hockey action captured in still life by artist Bruce Roberts, and we've shown you some of his work during the first period tonight, and we'll be showing you some more examples of his excellent artwork as he captures the world's best hockey players on canvas during the rest of tonight's action. There's a lot of action indeed for a 1-0 score after one period of play, and one of the raging bulls on this NHL team is Claude Lemieux. He has definitely lived up to his billing, the Montreal Canadien, who last year as a rookie had such a great playoff series. Look at him take one of the Soviets hard into the boards, perfectly legal, and he is... well, he's none too shy about leveling out those kinds of checks. The Soviets can hit, too. Watch Kevin Dineen, number 14 of the Hartford Whalers. He gets a shoulder from Vyacheslav Fedosov. Kevin Dineen definitely knows that Mr. Fedosov is on the ice tonight. Now, the lone goal of the period, Mark Messier, number 11, cruising in front, gets a great pass from Yari Curry. Of course, the play was started by Wayne Gretzky, and the Soviet goaltender failed to close the pads, and the puck just slid very carefully underneath his pads, and that goal by Messier, who, by the way, was voted the player of the game for Team NHL in game number 1. Messier's goal has given Team NHL the same lead they had on Wednesday night. After one period in Quebec City, it's NHL All-Stars 1, the Soviet Union, nothing.
Rendez-vous 87 is brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth. We're working together to be the best. And by the Coca-Cola Company and bottlers of Coca-Cola Classic. It's red, white, and you. And by the Norelco Electric Razor. Norelco, we put quality first.
We're set for more hockey action from the Colisée. Let's go upstairs to our play-by-play facility now, where Ken Wilson and Bill Clement are standing by with what really should be a heck of a second period of hockey. Gentlemen?
Thank you very much, Tom. You know, you go back to the start of game number 1. I think everyone expected a lot of offense from both sides. Bill, there's no question. We have seen 4 periods, and defense has been the big story.
Well, a statistics that's amazing. 137 turnovers in the first game. That's twice as many as usually happen in an NHL game. That's an indication to me that it was very, very fiercely contested.
Well, you look at the numbers, and you see the face-offs, NHL with the advantage. Turnovers are very, very big. That's an extremely high number for turnovers, as was the case in game number 1. There were many, many more turnovers than anyone would have expected, and that's a reflection of the great defensive work.
And Ken, look at the shoot-ins. 10 for the NHL All-Stars, 1 for the Soviet Union. I think that is one of the greatest differences between the way hockey is played in North America and in the Soviet Union. The National Hockey League players are not reluctant to shoot it in, use the body to forecheck and try and get the puck back. The Soviets feel, hey, listen, if we shoot it over the blue line and in deep, all we are doing is giving it to them. The variable that has to be considered in all of this is skill. Certain teams in the NHL do not have the skilled players to control it while crossing the NHL or the opposing offensive blue line. The Soviets, on the other hand, are very, very skilled, better stick handlers and better passers, I think, than most North American players, so they can maintain control better. They don't have to shoot it in.
Many, many people around the world will be watching this Game 2 of Rendezvous 87, and we are glad that you're part of the fun live here on ESPN. 1-0 NHL, All-Stars leading. Both teams are at full strength to start the second period. Krutov of the USSR. The backhand drive by Fedosov. Oh, what a pretty play by Vyacheslav Fedosov, stopped by Fuhr. Kevin Dineen of the Hartford Whalers, a drive that goes high. And the puck out to center ice. Here's Vladimir Krutov. Playing the puck in the corner, Rick Green. Green is on defense with Langway, Poulin, Howardchuk, and Dineen. The good defensive line for the NHL on. Fuhr makes the save on Fedosov's drive from the point. Pinching in from the right defense, Kasatonov. And that forces the NHL to play with the puck deep in their own zone. Soviet Union very aggressive. Kasatonov, and Fuhr gets just a piece of that drive. Sergei Makarov. Larionov. Krutov moving right in. Cuts behind the net. Fedosov moves in front. Can't get the pass as it deflects just out of his reach.
Ken Fedosov, number 2, great offensive defenseman, really asserting himself, cutting in from his blue line position. John Perron said before Game 1, our players have to play with heads on a swivel. What happens is the Soviets wait till you turn around, then they come busting right by you. You almost have to have a 360-degree neck that can just swivel around and watch them from all angles.
Soviet Union playing with a bit more zip here in the first 2 minutes of the second period. Speaking of zip, it's Mark Messier. He's one of the best skaters in the NHL, and a heavy hit on Vasily Pervukin. Boy, Pervukin has to be shaky. Ray Bork, his shot. Ooh, and that deflects wide off the Soviet player. That hit Samak, nearly went in the corner. Doug Wilson has one of the booming shots in the NHL, and a tense Bellows shaken. NHL All-Stars lead 1-0. Second period just past the 2-minute mark. Kasatonov, Svetlov, Vyacheslav. Losing the puck to Messier. NHL turns it in. 31-year-old defenseman, Vasily Pervukin. Omyatov gets it up the middle. Kaminsky a shot, and that's high. Puck at center ice, Tikkanen trying to get around Omyatov. And the loose puck corralled by Norman Rochefort. Back for it. Stelnoff, number 4. He overskates it. Now Stelnoff trying to get it. Tikkanen turns it right in front, and oh, did he surprise. Bellows shaken. Omyatov up the middle to Kaminsky. Too well covered. Omyatov again for the Soviet Union. Andrei Omyatov, number 15. That's sort of a start over for the Soviets. Vikov taken out by Rochefort. Omyatov. Starikov, his shot blocked in front. What a drive by Starikov. Now Omyatov hits the post. Omyatov to Kaminsky, and Valery Kaminsky scores on a beautiful setup by Andrei Omyatov, and the Soviet Union comes flying out of the gate in the second period to tie it at 1.
And it all started with the breakdown that the NHL All-Stars didn't recover from. Samuelson was forced to block a shot from the point man, That's the goal. Prior to that, Samuelson had to go down to block a shot because no one was out of the defense. Look how much this man has at the point. There's no one there to check him. A forward had a breakdown on his assignment. Samuelson gets a piece of it, and I suspect, Ken, that had he continued to lie on the ice, he would have been able to smother the puck and get a whistle. Fuhr leaves his feet, makes the save on Homutov, but Homutov picks up Kaminsky. He doesn't waste any time letting it go. Does that remind you of Yari Curry?
Pretty goal for the Soviet Union. Kaminsky has scored for the Soviets. Messier for the NHL All-Stars. The first 3.5 minutes of the second period, we've seen the Soviet Union play some of their best hockey in this two-game series. Goulet for the NHL on the French-Canadian line for the All-Stars. Bryakin, his shot turned aside by Chelios. Chelios with a puck on defense with Fort. Bryakin does a superb job with Chelios. Goulet trying to help out. Oh, and Chelios ridden out by Hanielov. Hanielov with a big check, and the Soviet Union checking much more tonight than they did in Game 1, as is certainly the case for the NHL All-Stars. Mario Lemieux. Nice soft touch to Claude Lemieux of the Canadiens. No relation. Claude Lemieux trying to go for the net. He centers with the puck to center ice. Claude Lemieux unable to get around the veteran defenseman, Belly Leptonov. And it's Belly Leptonov back for the puck behind his goaltender, Bello Shakin. Soviet Union changing players. Green touches the puck, icing against the Soviet national team. Less than 5 minutes gone in the second period. The Soviet Union won, and the NHL All-Stars won.
From Red Rock, Arizona to Redmond, Washington, it's red, white, and new. That's what's going on. Red hot top sneakers, good times on the avenue. It's Saturday night, it's out of sight, making all the right moves. There's a feeling in this country, the real thing's coming through. Coca-Cola Classic, red, white, and new.
Claude Lemieux, the burly winger of the Montreal Canadiens, blows by Gusarov, tries to go around the net. Here's Bilyaletdinov trying to get him. Look at Lemieux continue and get around Bilyaletdinov. That's 220 pounds being put to its proper use in an offensive sense, Ken.
And the Soviet tying goal at 3:13. Kaminsky from Homutov and Bykov, so it's 1-1 still early in period number 2.
Well, there are many crews broadcasting. Let's listen in for a moment to the Russian broadcast featuring Yevgeny Mayrov doing play-by-play.
Коверчук. И все время передачи следует на пятачок перед воротами. Грин. Касатонов. Оторваться надо от соперника. Хорошая передача Крутову. Пас назад, бросок. Нет, не дается бросок Сергею Макарову. Макаров. Ларионов. Фетисов. Пас, бросок по воротам. И счет становится 2-1 в пользу сборной Советского Союза. Это Владимир Крутов с точной подачи капитана нашей команды.
And that's how it is sounding in the Soviet Union as Vladimir Krutov scores for the USSR to give the Soviet Union a 2-1 lead.
And it's got to be sounding pretty good to the people in the Soviet Union listening. We talked about Krutov having to come through as a scorer. Boy, Fetisov deep in the corner again. Krutov finding the seam between number 20 Poulin and number 14 Kevin Dineen. Sooner or later, the dike had to give way. This line of Poulin, Dineen, that goes right between Fuhr's legs. The line of Howardchuk, Fuhr, Dineen have drawn the assignment, Ken, again tonight of playing against the big KLM line, Krutov, Larionov, Makarov, with Fetisov and Kasatonov on defense. Kasatonov staying on the point, backing up Fetisov, who gambles, and that was a perfect example of how the defenseman, very offensive-minded, got in deep, back to Krutov. Those two guys clicked. They've patched up their disagreements, apparently.
The second period has been a Soviet Union clinic, and they lead 2-1. Now the NHL trying to forecheck here. Verbukin plays the puck off the boards, not out. Samuelson to Gretzky, intercepting to Taranov, a 20-year-old defenseman. He gets the puck out, and Fuhr will play.
Again, one of the things we are tracking that we mentioned is quality shots, and it's no wonder the Soviets have come to life here in the second period. They have had 6 quality shots on Grand Pure. The NHL All-Stars have yet to have a quality shot on Yevgeny Beloshakin.
Svetlov trying to get the puck over to Lavrov, number 10. He can't. Curry can't get the puck out. Svetlov leaves it for Samak. And Gretzky intercepts the outlet off the stick of Curry. This is Per Buchenbach just clearing the zone. 6:30 gone in period number 2, and it is 2-1. The Soviet national team leading. A shot by Anderson, and the save by Beloshakin. Gretzky centers for Tikkanen. He's got Anderson in front, and Samak a good job back-checking for the Soviet Union. A drive by Gretzky, and Beloshakin makes the save on Wayne Gretzky. The Soviet Union taking the lead at 5:17. Krutov from Fedosov and Larionov. More physical action tonight. The tempers flaring at Rendezvous 87.
Sure, the pride is back. Plymouth Sundance and Plymouth Voyager are the proof. Plymouth Sundance, the unbelievable American under $7,600. The best value in its class. Plymouth Voyager, front-wheel drive, optional V6 power, and a new 7-year or 70,000-mile protection plan backs them both.
The pride is back. Born in America again.
Here's a super slow-mo look at Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky doesn't usually like to shoot from this particular angle and that far out. That tells you that he had no one to pass to. He would have elected to pass to someone in a better position, but from up here we could see everyone was covered. He got all of that, unfortunately for Wayne Gretzky, and hit Beloshakin in the chest.
Bill Clement, the Soviet national team, has done here in the second period what I think we both expected them to do at the outset of both Game 1 and Game 2. And it's a dangerous time for the NHL right here. Anderson taken out, trying to get the puck out is Stelnov. He can't. Glenn Anderson muscles it away. Deneen, Muller behind the net. After that puck high off the glass, Omyatov clearing to center ice to Vikov. Hope check nicely by Bork. Deneen. Here's Chris Chelios. He's on defense with Ray Bork. Up front, Muller with Anderson and Deneen. The NHL shuffling lines a bit. Glenn Anderson can't get the puck to Muller, and the Soviets clear the zone.
Ken, you mentioned this being a dangerous time for the NHL All-Stars. It is, because the Soviets, for some reason, can score like a flash fire. When they get one, they score like bananas. They come in bunches, and the coaching staff, John Perron, knows this, as does Bob Johnson. When they catch on fire, they can fill the net, and before you know it, you're down by 3 or 4 goals. So it is a critical time for the NHL All-Stars.
And the NHL has seemed to become much more aggressive after that second Soviet goal, giving the Soviet Union a 2-1 lead. Homyatov trying to move around Bork, then Vikov carrying into the corner. Look out, Muller like a truck. Ray Bork with a puck. 8 minutes gone, second period. The pass eludes Claude Lemieux. There'll be no icing. Beloshakin leaving the puck for Bellettinov. Up on the wing. Priakin trying to find some skating room. And Sergei Priakin finds that room. And he tries to beat Sergei Nemchinov. And the puck touched first by the NHL. Samuelson icing against the Soviet Union. It's 2-1, Soviet Union.
What's that you're shaving with?
An Norelco.
Looks terrific.
Well, it is America's leading electric. It's rechargeable, it's guaranteed, and it gives me a fantastic shave.
As close as a blade?
Yep. Feel.
Wow.
It's our patented system that lifts each whisker up and shaves it off blade close.
I love it when you talk high-tech.
What do you think of the Norelco Ladies Rechargeable I gave you?
Terrific. What do you think?
Sensational.
Norelco. We put quality first.
Ready for the face-off near the Soviet goal. The Soviet Union leading by a score of 2-1. The NHL with a big lead in face-offs, but that's insignificant when you finish up with a total of goals. And Kaminsky and Krutov have scored here early in the second period. And the Soviet Union leads it. The NHL getting a power play goal early in the first period from Marc Messier. Now, Bill Clement, the French-Canadian line of Goulet, Mario Lemieux, and Claude Lemieux on for the NHL. Mario Lemieux wins the draw. Goulet, Roach scored a shot, and Beloshakin turns it aside. Goulet pokes the puck ahead. Gusarov with it. He's on defense with Starikov. Priakin can't get the puck over to Hamilov, and it's cleared out. Gusarov ahead to Hamilov. He's checked. Samuelson. Mario Lemieux trying to handle the puck. He's unable to. Yuri Hamilov shooting it in. Sergei Priakin after it, and it's cleared around the board. The NHL can't clear. Alexei Gusarov, and the puck goes right to Grant Fuhr, and he holds it for a faceoff. 11:02 remaining in the middle period, and the Soviet national team leading by a score of 2-1. Bill, you've watched now a game and a half here in this two-game Rendezvous 87 series. Big differences from your point of view between the NHL and the Soviet Union.
Well, Ken, I think one of the key differences is that the NHL hits more, and here's an example of it right here. Norman Rochefort coming across, taking a run at number 29 of the Soviet Union, Yuri Hamilov. Another difference that is obvious to me, and our statistics will back it up, is the Soviets shoot less. They work for quality shots. They obviously fight less. They slap the puck less than players do in North America, but they pass more and they weave more. They're all over the ice. We like to stay in lanes when we play hockey in North America. The Soviets really perfected the weave, coming down the ice, going all over the place. It certainly makes it more difficult to defend against that type of attack.
2-1. NHL All-Stars trailing. Howard Chuck deflects the puck in. Poulin after it. Oh, taken out by Fetisov. Benin is out there with Howard Chuck and Poulin. Here's Larionov with Krutov and Fetisov moving in front. Here's Makarov, and unable to get the pass is Konstantinov. Oh, you can almost see the Soviet Union beginning to weave that pattern there. This is their big five, their veteran KLM line from the Red Army.
And they come so well from behind. That's another difference. The Soviet players drop the puck so very well, drop passes.
Tikkanen, bad save, bellow shaken as Tikkanen was sent in by Doug Wilson. Konstantinov gets it right back from Krutov, and Doug Wilson intercepts. Circling Esa Tikkanen. On with Gretzky and Curry. This line has 2 goals in the series. They've scored the first goal in each game. Svetlov has Larov on his left, can't get the puck to him. Doug Wilson ties up Svetlov. That's Samak with it for the Soviet national team. Lavrov. Tataranov. Here's Samak moving in, the 21-year-old. Alexander Samak unable to turn in back of the net. Gretzky check, and Chris Chelios darting to his own blue line. Gretzky on the move. Curry on his right. Tikkanen trailing. Here's Esa Tikkanen moving in front, and he's knocked off balance. He gets a shot, and Curry deflects it just wide. Chelios to Gretzky. Gretzky centers, and Tataranov breaks up the play. Lavrov clears it the length of the ice. And it'll be icing against the Soviet national team. Boy, what action here at the Coliseum in Quebec City, and the photos that really tell quite a story. It's ESPN's coverage of Rendezvous 87.
From Red Rocks, Arizona to Redmond, Washington, it's red, white, and new. That's what's going on. Red hot top sneakers, good time on the avenue. It's Saturday night, it's out inside, making all the right moves. There's a feeling in this country, the real thing's coming through. Coca-Cola classic, red, white, and new.
What is it? Here's our reverse angle super slow-mo once again. This is Tikkanen coming in. He got good wood on it. Beloshakin's not reluctant to go down, but it looked to me, Ken, as if he was looking to his left, and Tikkanen got it to his right. Gee, he really didn't look as if his view was impeded or impaired at all. Here's Tikkanen again. Boy, he runs into tough traffic here. He can't regain his balance, stumbling through the Soviets. Finally, he gets it through to Curry, who slips it through to Gretzky. He missed it, and Lavrov at the end of that play made a pretty good play. He was booed here by the obviously partial fans, but Lavrov, number 10 of the Soviet Union, just said, I'm getting out of the heat out of the kitchen, and dumped it all the way down the ice.
I know you're not superstitious, Bill. There are those that are, I'm sure. A full moon tonight if you have looked upstairs. The Soviet Union's goal was scored by number 13 at 3:13. on February 13th, be it a Friday with a full moon. And if you look on the shot indicator here in Quebec City, shots are even, 13 aside.
Wow. Tell you, Ken, my mom was born on the 13th of April, my dad on the 13th of December, and they were married on the 13th of one of those other months, so I'm not superstitious at all.
Bello shaken. Comes up with a big save on Messier, bidding to tie it. Messier gets the puck back. He scored the first goal on a power play. That was in the first period. The Soviet Union has scored 2 goals here in the second period. They lead 2-1. Puck shot into the corner. Messier breaks for the net, but the boards don't agree. After the puck, Kaminsky. Bork beats him to it. Samuelson. Kurt Muller. Wheeling it around the boards. Starikov. Soviet Union beat Koff. He's played well in both games, this little winger. Homyatov moves right in, shoots, and the puck deflects into the crowd as Green cut off the angle on Andrei Homyatov. 2-1, Soviet Union.
Plymouth Voyager gives America a powerful new reason why the Pride is back. Front-wheel drive V6 power, fuel-injected power, power to climb, to pass, to carry, to move you. And quality backed by a new 7-year or 70,000-mile protection plan. Plymouth Voyager V6.
The pride is back, born in America again.
Boy, these Edmonton Oilers can continue to assert themselves. Look at this nifty behind the back pass from Glenn Anderson over to Mark Messier. Look at this little play. He just let the puck go. Starikov, number 12 of the Soviet Union, basically over-corrected with his stick. Messier was able to get a decent shot away on Yevgeny Beloshakin. Beloshakin has been anything but inconsistent tonight, Ken. Very, very steady.
That was the story on the 20-year-old Soviet goaltender, that he would have a good game, then a not-so-good game. He's had 2 pretty strong games here in Rendezvous 87. Messier. He's on with Goulet and Mario Lemieux. Around the boards off Belechnikov's stick. Bryakin. Nicely to Nemchinov. Nemchinov back to Bryakin, and a shot blocked. Mario Lemieux wearing a knee brace on that right knee. It's still bothering him. Dumping it in. Goulet, a shot, and the save by Beloshakin, who tries to scramble up. As Claude Lemieux barreled into the Soviet goalie. Rochefort on defense with Chelios. Up to Claude Lemieux, to Mario Lemieux. Goulet breaking in front. Mario Lemieux shot off the glove of Beloshakin. And the NHL, after stumbling a bit early in the period with the onrush of the Soviets, has come back. Gusarov. Now they shot right on, and the save by Fuhrer. Another save on Gusarov after stopping Yuri Hamalov. And here comes the Soviet Union, trying to pass the puck around, and Chelios intercepts and clears it out. Igor Larionov playing it in, and the Soviets will complete a line change. The NHL All-Stars doing the same. Chris Chelios flips it in. They really want to test Beloshakin. Larionov. Betisov will chase the puck down. Kevin Dineen doing the forechecking. Kevin Dineen just barely unable to steal the puck. Soviet Union losing the first game Wednesday night 4-3 to the NHL All-Stars. And the Soviet team leads tonight 2-1 in the second period. Sergei Makarov. He's a 28-year-old. Over to Betisov. In front to Krutov. Oh, and the play broken up. Here's Larionov, and a save by Fuhrer, and a shot that would have gone wide. Krutov centers. Doug Wilson intercepts. He can't get the puck out, but Kevin Dineen will. Ray Bork. Dineen tied up by Krutov. Betisov to Krutov. Rink wide to Svetlov. Both teams are changing on the fly, and Doug Wilson breaks up the play. Vyacheslav Betisov hands the puck to the NHL All-Stars. Dineen gets it across to Tikkanen, a shot wide. Now Howard-Chuck trying to fend off Betisov. Dineen is barreled into, and that allows Dale Howard-Chuck to come up with a puck. It's Rick Green of the Montreal Canadiens, and a superb job by Vyacheslav Lavrov blocking that shot. There's just over 5 minutes to go in the second period. Here's Semak, trailed by Lavrov, and Semak fans. Lavrov with no one in front of the net, and he loses the puck, and this is Rick Green. Ed Manning to Esa Tikkanen, and his drive goes wide. Verbuchen first to the puck, to Tatarinov. Svetlov Lavrov. And the Soviet Union into the NHL zone. Langway puts a stop to things immediately, and Gretzky breaks out. He has Curry on his left, Tikkanen trailing. This is Esa Tikkanen. Back to Gretzky, look for Curry. Curry is in front. Here's Gretzky, and his backhand shot deflected wide by Tatarinov. Now Chelios can't get a good shot away, and it's Gretzky again. Gretzky to Curry, and that turned aside. Boy, the Soviet Union has not been able to contain Gretzky tonight, anything like they did in Game 1 on Wednesday night.
And one of the troubles they're having is when Wayne Gretzky gets in behind the net, he's as good as anyone in the world.
And the puck goes off the skate of Curry on a feed from Gretzky. And the Soviet Union once again forced to ice the puck. 3:58 to go in the second period.
What's that you're shaving with?
An Norelco.
Looks terrific.
Well, it is America's leading electric. It's rechargeable, it's guaranteed, and it gives me a fantastic shave.
As close as a blade?
Yep. Feel.
Wow.
It's our patented system that lifts each whisker up and shaves it off blade close.
I love it when you talk high-tech.
What do you think of the Norelco Ladies Rechargeable I gave you?
Terrific. What do you think?
Sensational.
Norelco. We put quality first.
Believe it or not, that castle that you just saw was actually made of ice. It is one of the structures here that is made of snow and ice during the Quebec Winter Carnival, and the competitions are incredible. Ken, we saw them. We were just amazed at the international competition ice figures as well as the national ice figures that were entered into the competition. That's just part of the Winter Carnival here in Quebec every year. That's just not Rendez-vous 87.
This has been a busy sight, Quebec City, this week and the week earlier when the Winter Carnival began. And the two-game series between the NHL All-Stars and the Soviet Union really highlighting. Anderson a drive. Bellows shaking the save on Glenn Anderson. Beekoff to center ice. Dragged down by Anderson. Back comes the NHL. Messier. Muller is the other wing. Starkov plays the puck up to Kaminsky. Here's Beekoff. Ognitov to Beekoff, and it is offside. Soviet national team with 3:34 remaining, second period, 2-1. The Soviet national team leading.
Ken, I don't think we've been disappointed in the fact that we had maintained that goaltending would be very important, that this is very, very similar to playoff hockey. Here's a look at Glenn Anderson from point-blank range on Bellows-Shaken. Boy, he covers the low areas well, doesn't he, even though he's back far in the net, and he gets up after he goes down as quick as anyone. In warm-up, he does it 50 to 100 times, goes down, up. He gets people to keep shooting at him low. Got some strong legs.
As you look at Mark Messier, who scored the NHL goal tonight, we mentioned earlier this is the 12th visit by a Soviet hockey contingent to North America. The 59th game they have played. 30 have been in the USA, 7 in New York City. This is the 29th visit by the Soviet Union to Canada in terms of games, in the 4th game in Quebec. Goulet yanked down as Bellows-Shaken covers the puck. Tempers continue to flare, and we'll be right back.
From Red Rock, Arizona to Redmond, Washington, it's red, white, and new. That's what's going on. Red hot top sneakers, good times on the avenue. It's Saturday night, it's out inside, making all the right moves. There's a feeling in this country, the real thing's coming through. Coca-Cola Classic, red, white, and new.
Well, the French-Canadian line of Lemieux, and Goulet trying to assert themselves here. This is Mario Lemieux to Goulet. He tries to beat the Russian defender and thinks he has him. He's reaching for the puck. Oh, not so fast, Mr. Goulet. Here's from the true angle, or at least the angle that we are sitting on. What Goulet, it's a heck of a dump. Number 32, Claude Lemieux of the Montreal Canadiens, right there for a rebound. But, Ken, do you not think Bellows-Shaken's been much better in his rebounds tonight?
Much steadier. Chelios, a weak wrist shot. Bellows-Shaken way out of the net. And Claude Lemieux can't get a shot. Chelios, a quick wrist shot deflecting wide. Mario Lemieux. Boy, has the NHL recovered and come on here after the first 5 or 6 minutes when it was all Soviet Union. Deflecting the puck. Priakin back for it. Chelios. Chelios on defense with Rochefort. After the puck, Michel Goulet. Claude Lemieux, checked by Larionov. Larionov just sort of cross-checking him. Here's Mario Lemieux wheeling the puck wide. Rick Green at the point. His shot hits Claude Lemieux, who's tied up by Larionov. Now Gusarov muscling Claude Lemieux. In front, Goulet. And as he's held off by Larionov, bellows shaken, holds the puck for a face-off as Claude Lemieux and Gusarov mix it up in the corner. So there's a break in the action. Let's go down to the stands now with John Saunders.
With me now is Claude Scott, regularly the trumpeter for the Quebec Nordiques, getting the fans ready here. All right, get them set.
Boy, as that man winds up, we'll go to a replay of Rick Green just lifting and lofting a shot towards the net. What a battle between Gusarov, number 8 of the Soviet Union, and Claude Lemieux, the big winger of the Montreal Canadiens. Boy, that's some tough work, but the Soviets really do isolate well, or at least they have been, Ken, thus far in the second period on a man-to-man basis. That was Larionov, number 11, in front, making a great defensive play, and they go to man-to-man at times with their centerman way in deep. That is not unlike the way North Americans play. Although the Soviets almost exclusively in the offensive zone have their centerman as the high man in the zone playing defensive hockey. Very often you see the centerman does not score as much as the wingers because he is the guy who is really the designated defender in the offensive zone.
That Rick Green shot deflecting into the crowd. The shot's on goal with 2:18 to go in the second period. The NHL All-Stars 19, the Soviet Union 15. Still, this has been two different periods. The first 6 minutes or 7 minutes belongs totally to the Soviet national team. They scored at 3:13 to tie it, at 5:17 to take the lead. But much of this period, I believe, has been controlled by the NHL.
It's been a pretty evenly played period in my mind, except for those few minutes when the Soviet Union scored and came on with that big rush. They seem to get a big adrenaline rush. And although they don't show emotion, let's face it, they're a microcosm of their society. They're very regimented, very disciplined, very similar to the whole Soviet society. They do have emotion. The difference is they just don't show it the way people do in North America.
Howard Chuck, the backhand shot goes over the net. Deneen taken out by Fetisov. Kasatonov, Ed Manning. This is Igor Larionov with Makarov and Krutov. And the puck comes out to center ice. Dave Poulin trying to get a handle on it. 4 Soviets right along the boards. Green clearing the puck in, and back forward is Alexei Kasatonov. He's quite a playmaker for this Soviet national team. Over to Vyacheslav Fetisov. Off the boards, it's an offside play, and the Soviets clear the zone, so the delayed offside waved away. Bork, Curry. Curry's on with Tikkanen and Gretzky. Bobrov clears the puck out. Doug Wilson to Ray Bork. There's just over a minute to go in another well-played period, period number 2 of Game 2 here in Rendezvous 87. Bobrov turns the puck to center ice. The NHL All-Stars find themselves trailing the Soviet national team 2-1. Back for the puck goes Vasily Pervukin, and it's an icing call against the NHL All-Stars with 48 seconds remaining in the second period. You know, Bill, we looked at the Quebec Nordiques fan cheerleader shooting that horn. It reminds you a little New Orleans and Mardi Gras, and that's what this week and the Winter Carnival and the atmosphere in Quebec City reminds you of, a winter Mardi Gras.
Well, the hornblower didn't remind me that much of the Mardi Gras, but I would agree with you. I've characterized the Winter Carnival as a winter Mardi Gras. It's a great, great festive time. He actually bills himself as a professional buffoon, that man that blows the trumpet. For the life of me, I can't imagine why.
John Perron, Montreal Canadiens coach, led them to the Stanley Cup last season. Co-coach, along with Bob Johnson, who is with him on the bench tonight, and Michel Bergeron, who was on the bench on Wednesday night, is upstairs. NHL out of their own end. Green to Anderson. Anderson wheeling the puck over. It was hit by Anderson's high stick. He touches the puck first, and The high stick causes the whistle, and we'll have a neutral face-off just outside of the NHL blue line. Glenn Anderson played at the University of Denver, played for a while for the Seattle Breakers, junior hockey in the Western Hockey League, and also on the 1980 Canadian Olympic team.
He is similar, Ken, in my mind, to a lot of the Soviets as far as his great skating skills. He could drive for the net and accelerate while turning. That's one of the strengths of the Soviets that not many North Americans can do, except for guys like Messier, Jim Poplinski in Calgary, Glenn Anderson with Edmonton.
There's another icing against the NHL All-Stars. We have seen a host of icings tonight compared to Game 1 on Wednesday night. We've seen the puck along the boards quite a bit more and much more physical play than in Game number 1.
Let's look at number 12, Sergei Starikov of the Soviet Union. He is a member of the Red Army team. He is the third unit really on this national team, Ken. He's with the third unit. The number 1 unit is the big Makarov, Larionov, Krutov. Then the second unit is from the Moscow Dynamo team. There are 2 Dynamos in their league, and the third unit are all 5 from the Red Army as well. Kaminsky on with Bikov and Homyatov. Look at that move. Valery Kaminsky shoots and scores. What a dazzling effort by the 20-year-old Valery Kaminsky. They've compared him to Frank Mahovlich. They say he sometimes is indifferent. Tonight, he has been different. He has been brilliant. And it is 3-1. The Soviet national team has the lead. Ken, you're absolutely right. The knock on this young Kaminsky is that he is indifferent at times. He's actually been criticized by Anatoly Tarasov. But watch this move. Right in close, getting in behind Grant Fuhr, and he is one of the best in the world at getting in tight and getting it upstairs, so he could have gone either way with that one.
What a play. Absolutely brilliant by the youngster on the replay. Oh, that's as pretty a play as you'll ever see in any country. Starikov over to Stelnov. Homyatov on with Kaminsky, and Bikov as the siren sounds. And that is the end of the second period of play before, as you would expect, a full house in Quebec City. 1941, Kaminsky scoring unassisted, his second of the night. Krutov, the other Soviet goal. Messier scored an early first period power play goal for the NHL All-Stars.
And welcome back to Le Colisée and ESPN's continuing live coverage of Rendezvous 87. A great period for the Soviet Union. The second period, they got all 3 goals. Valery Kaminsky had 2, including a crusher at 1941 of the second period, and Vladimir Krutov on an assist by Fedosov got the second Soviet goal. So they lead it 3-1 over the NHL. Bill Clement will join me in just a few moments to analyze some of the key plays. Well, all over the world, the old saying is everyone loves a parade. They love a parade so much here in Quebec City that they'll turn out by the thousands, even in below-zero weather. I found out that fact of life last night on the streets of Quebec City. Let's take a brief look at some of the sights and sounds. Teams were represented with their own floats in this Winter Carnival Parade. The only NHL team that didn't supply a float, Harold Ballard's Toronto Maple Leafs. But that didn't dampen the spirit of the big crowd that lined the sidewalks of Quebec City on a very cold night.
Yes, it was a very cold night, about 15 below Fahrenheit, but as you see, the hearts and spirits were warmed as they watched floats from those 20 NHL teams, including the Boston Bruins. They're having a Boston hockey party in the city on the bay in Massachusetts. The favorite float, of course, to the home team, Quebec Nordique, drew raves from the thousands of people that lined the streets in Quebec City. And the bands, well, there were plenty of bands, 20 marching bands and lots of clowns and entertainers, 150 entertainers, a float from the St. Louis Blues. The Blues, of course, will be hosting the NHL All-Star Game next year. And let us not forget our team in our nation's capital, the Washington Capitals. And a look at the marching bands. How cold was it? Look at the trumpets. Even they had to be wrapped up in fur coats. But a credit to the musicians and everybody in the parade route. The cold didn't bother them. They love their chilly weather here in Quebec. The Philadelphia Flyers float included Bernie Perron,
star goaltender who led the Flyers to a couple of cups about a decade ago. And, of course, the Edmonton Oilers with number 99. Wayne Gretzky as big as life in front. And it all ended with a gigantic fireworks show. Yes, everybody loves a parade, and in Quebec City, it is no different than any other city in the world. A great time was had by all. Yes, indeed. Everyone loves a parade, no matter how cold it gets here in Quebec City. Well, after 2 periods, it's the NHL All-Stars trailing 3-1. We'll have some analysis in a moment. After 2 periods here at the jam-packed Le Colisée, it's the NHL All-Stars trailing the Soviet national team 3-1. I'm Tom Mees in our Le Colisée studios, again with Bill Clement. Bill, we've not only seen 2 varying styles of hockey, but also some varying styles of commentating tonight.
I think the Soviet broadcaster was a little too excited at times, Tom, honestly, but there's nothing that a good color analyst wouldn't cure with that broadcast.
Right, I think you would spice that up just exactly right, Bill. You know, we get into some of the analysis now. You pointed out that the Soviet Union is good at taking advantage of great plays and blocking shots to set up goals and whatnot, and we saw an example of that in the second period.
They certainly are, and once you leave your feet, they are very, very good. It's nice to go down and block a shot, but the people have to understand, watching this, that when a North American player goes down to block a shot, even if the block is successful, if the Soviet gets the puck back, they're very, very dangerous because one player is out of position. This shot comes from the point. It's a blast to the net. Notice the Soviet that's right in behind everyone. Samuelson got a piece of it, and that's the play I mentioned. Had he stayed down, he probably would have ended up with a whistle. But number 15 of the Soviet Union, Hamutov, right there off the side. Fuhr makes the original save. He struggles to get up. He doesn't really get up in time to make the save on number 13, Kaminsky. Had he been a little quicker, probably would have had a chance. Easier said than done. You know, it's nice to sit here and say he should have gotten up quicker. I know he was trying to get up as quickly as he could, but he ended up stuck on the ice, and Kaminsky beat him to the punch.
Now, a special stat we're seeing tonight, quality shots. And the Soviet Union certainly had their share of quality shots, and especially from the most dangerous area on the ice, the slot.
And it became evident to me that in the second period, that's where the National Hockey League team started to break down. The Soviets were cruising through and picking up pucks. At least twice I saw number 32, Claude Lemieux, after a great first period, all kinds of body checking, skate through and by people in the slot area. And the Soviets are tremendous players. You know what's interesting at the left of your screen? That's Mario Lemieux sliding out of the way. He didn't get a piece of it. Just the fact that he tried to block it, though, I think is commendable. The Soviets hovering all over the place in the middle of the slot. That's an area that there was a definite breakdown in my mind, Tom, that the National Hockey League had in the second period.
While there were breakdowns certainly in the NHL side, there were some breakdowns also on the Soviet side because the NHL trailing 2-1 had a lot of quality shots of their own against Grand Fuhrer. And the forechecking of Kevin Dineen, one of the reasons.
Definitely, Dineen. We talked about forechecking as being so important, and there are no 2 players on his NHL team any more determined than number 14, Kevin Dineen, and number 20, Dave Poulin. Number 14, here's Dineen doing his work on Fedosov, gets the puck, goes down. Watch how quickly he gets back up to his feet. Grabs Fedosov's stick. Now Fedosov is down. Dineen will get up again. He's like a yo-yo, but that's what you have to do. And if I were coaching, I would always measure a portion of the player's desire by the speed with which he gets up to his feet after he goes down. And Dineen, there's no questioning his heart. He's a great Hartford Whaler.
In 10 seconds or less, does the NHL have a chance trailing the Soviet team by 2 goals?
It's a very big hill to climb. The Soviets play better when they are ahead, Tom, because they control the puck. Sure, there's a chance, but it's going to be a long third period for the NHL.
All right, we shall see. In just a few moments, we'll have more of our Between Periods entertainment in a moment. I'll be talking with the new chairman of the St. Louis Blues. Back with more in just a moment. City at Rendez-vous 87. I can speak for everyone on the NHL Tonight crew saying we can't wait to visit you fans in St. Louis next year when the NHL All-Star Game will pay a visit to the St. Louis Arena and the great hockey fans of the Midwest. Now, the St. Louis franchise recently sold to a group of investors headed by the new chairman of the St. Louis Blues, Michael Shanahan. He had to leave town today. I was fortunate enough to catch Mike yesterday at the Hilton Hotel here in Quebec City, and I asked him what the attitude of the St. Louis fans is as they get ready for next year's All-Star Game.
Michael, your group took over this franchise not too long ago, and one of the big things you have facing you now that you've taken over the Blues organization, is the All-Star Game. It's coming to St. Louis and the St. Louis Arena next year. It will be different, of course, from what we've seen here in Quebec City. We know that this is a special circumstance, and I know that people in St. Louis are excited, and your organization's excited. What's the attitude in St. Louis concerning next year's All-Star Game?
Well, St. Louis is very excited, as you said, Tom. I just spoke to our mayor, Vince Shamel, this afternoon, and
he and the Regional Commerce and Growth Association are attempting to get the President of the United States to make an appearance during part of the activities that surround the All-Star Game. But we've always been able to respond to a challenge, and with hockey, St. Louis is a new city. I think it's one of the newer franchises at any rate, although we've been in it for 20 years. And we're looking forward to showing the National Hockey League and the United States and Canada that we are behind hockey and that we are very interested in hockey, and we're a bona fide hockey town because, as you know, we have a lot of good fans in St. Louis.
Mike, I know you're very excited about having the All-Star Game come to St. Louis next year, and it doesn't happen alone. You've got some corporate involvement that's in the mix as well.
I'm glad you brought that up because in our ownership we have corporations represented like Anheuser-Busch, and Mike Rorty from Anheuser-Busch will be helping us with the All-Star Game. We have the Emersons, Southwestern Bell, McDonald. I don't want to make this a commercial, but we do have a great deal of corporate involvement, and they are anxious to show the National Hockey League just how interested they are in the game.
We're anxious to come to St. Louis next year. It should be a great time.
Thank you, Tom. Look forward to seeing you.
Okay, Mr. Michael Shanahan, chairman of the St. Louis Blues, and we'll be back with more of Rendezvous 87 in just a moment. Welcome back to Quebec City. I'm Tom Mees. We're just about set for what should be a great third period of hockey at game number 2 of Rendezvous 87. The second period was a great period for the Soviet national team, who showed the world why they're considered by many to be the top team in the world. You begin, when you talk about the Soviets, with their great passing. And passing, even though they didn't score all the time, when the Soviets are passing, it's a beautiful thing to watch. You'll see no less than 6 good passes here in the NHL's defensive zone. This did not result in a goal, but look at the way the Soviets move and pass the puck back and forth, and they are just masters handling the puck. They're getting out of their own defensive zone, I should say, and now that they're moving into position to attack in the National Hockey League defensive zone. That's Vladimir Krutov with the puck, and the nice pass to Fedosov, who's on the backhand. Gets a good shot away on Grant Fuhr. That did not result in a goal, but Vladimir Krutov did get his goal. It proved to be the lead goal, as with the score tied at 1-1. Krutov would score from an assist by Fedosov. Fedosov from the boards out in front, and Vladimir Krutov scores, beating Grant Fuhr to make it 2-1. The goaltender, Belashkin for the Soviet Union, who was criticized mildly after his performance in game number 1, has come up with big save after big save, because there was a period in that second period where the NHL All-Stars did dominate with some great forechecking and good shots, but Belashkin came up big, as they would say in the National Hockey League, time and again. Now, the third goal is scored by Valery Kamensky. This was the crusher at 1941 of the second period. Kamensky with a beautiful unassisted move there. He scores his second goal of the night, the third of the night for the Soviet Union, and so they take a 2-goal lead over the National Hockey League All-Stars into the third period. As Bill Clement pointed out, the Soviets are so much better with the lead than they are from behind. Can the NHL climb the mountain? We'll be back to find that out in just a moment.
Tom Measy said the NHL team has to be patient in this third period. If they open up, the Soviets will pick them apart. For at least 10 minutes of this period, they have to play their own dedicated game, control the puck, peck away at that lead that the Soviets have. Don't open it up yet.
And you look at the statistics again, and quality shots, Soviet Union by a pretty big margin. And the shoot-ins, well, the NHL just shooting it in all the time compared to the Soviet Union. 18-2 in that department. The NHL doing a lot more of it tonight than they did in game 1. Messier gets the puck across to Anderson. Goulet breaks into the Soviet zone. Fedosov gets there first. Then Anderson gets the puck, and he's sandwiched behind the goal. Opportunity for Kasatonov. Getting the puck out to Larionov. Makarov. He shoots. Oh, Fuhr the save on Makarov. And then Krutov unable to get a drive away. Krutov bodied out of the play. Anderson is checked. Fedosov to Makarov. And Rod Langway will clear the puck out for the NHL. Kasatonov to Krutov. Boy, Krutov and Fedosov have really played well tonight, Bill.
They sure have. Those are the two players that they had to have come through on this big green unit, the number 1 unit for the Soviets. I've especially been impressed with Fedosov, Ken. He's really come through tonight as the captain should when his team is really shoved into that corner the way they were after game 1.
Just over a minute gone in the third period. And the Soviet Union with the puck in a 3-1 lead. Bork brings up the play. Curry to Gretzky with Bork. 3-on-2. Wayne Gretzky shoots. Oh, and the save by Belashkin. This is Doug Wilson. He shoots it wide. Bork up from the point. Trying to get the puck through to Gretzky. And it's broken up by Perbukin. And cleared out. Esa Tikkanen. Bork, Ed Manning, Tikkanen, Doug Wilson, Jari Kurri gets the puck. Intercepting. Starikov